Good morning, everybody. I'd like to welcome you all to, this is the regular meeting of the Board of Directors of United Laguna Woods Mutual, California Nonprofit Mutual Benefit Corporation. Today is Tuesday, August 9th, 2016, and this is the Laguna Woods Village Community Center. This is our open meeting that we have every second Tuesday of the month. And before we get started, I just wanted Brad to say a few words about something that happened recently. So, Brad.
Thank you, Mr. President. By now, all of you probably know about the tragic incident that happened in the village yesterday, resulting in the death of a village employee, Rodolfo Alvarez Velasco, who had been with us since 2010. He started here as a gardener, but always wanted to be a painter. And so when he got the opportunity, he promoted to a painter helper, and he did that for a couple of years. And then just recently, he had received all the certifications and the training, and he actually became a full-fledged painter. And he was very liked. He was a happy guy, a wonderful personality. He volunteered for every duty that was out there and always wanted to apprenticeship with the more experienced painters to learn and to enhance his skills. He will be missed greatly by his colleagues and obviously residents for the fine work he performed on their behalf. He leaves behind a wife and a 3-year-old son, and his wife is currently 7 months pregnant. And so it is, for all of us, a tragedy, and we're all heartbroken. I did want to take the opportunity to thank the faith community, the VMS board, TIP, social services. The outpouring yesterday was quite remarkable, and we spent into the evening here with many of our paint and maintenance workers, helping them deal with the loss of somebody that they were quite fond of and who was really quite a lot of energy and personality within the paint crew. And so we have received a number of inquiries from residents and employees about how can they help the family, and so we will be establishing an account if people want to donate, and we'll be sending that information out to employees and residents for that purpose. Also, we have counselors in Redwood Room B through the end of the week, 8 to 5, and so for employees or residents, others in the community who have been affected by this tragedy and they want to talk to someone about that, we do have counselors available through the end of the week, 8 to 5, Redwood Room B. And with that, I just want to thank the outpouring of support from employees and village residents and the faith community. It's been quite remarkable, and many of us have been moved quite deeply by the support of the community. So thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. On behalf of our board, too, I wish our deep condolences and prayers go out to Rodolfo's family and friends for their loss, and maybe just a moment of silence before we begin. Okay, thank you. Okay, we're going to begin now. Before an action item is open for discussion, a motion and a second must be recognized by the chair. After the board discusses the issue, the chair will open the floor to the audience on the immediately pending motion or resolution. There is a maximum time limit of 3 minutes per member during the member comments period. There is a maximum time limit of 3 minutes per member for member comments on motions before the board. A member may only address the chair once for each agenda item. Okay, so I call the meeting to order. We do have a quorum. Yep, we do. So I'm going to ask Jan to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, we do have media today. There they are. Okay, there she is. Okay. And approval of agenda. Anyone would like to make a motion to approve the agenda? Don, thank you. Any second? Second. Okay. All those in favor of approving the agenda, raise your hand. Okay, it's unanimous. Okay, now we're going to open it up to member comments. At this time, members, please come forward. May address the Board of Directors regarding any item within the jurisdiction of the Board of Directors of the United Laguna Woods Mutual. There's a maximum time limit of 3 minutes per member, and a member may only address the board once during this period. The board reserves the right to limit the total amount of time allotted for the members' forum. Okay, so please say your name and your manor number, and we'll press this button so you have a microphone.
Microphone's not here?
Yeah.
Good morning.
This is the microphone.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. Good morning, member of the board. I'm an agent and very active agent in Laguna Woods, also a resident. My name is Nazi Mehdi. I work with real estate agency, Realty One. I ran into this, but my address is 481B. So, I run into this potential buyer, really wants to live in Laguna Woods and Village, and he is, his situation is a little exceptional due to the qualifying for co-op. He has the fund, he has ability to buy, he has 200,000 plus 125. But as far as the job income, he doesn't, that's the part he doesn't qualify because he's 80 years old and he can look for a job here. He doesn't speak English, he's from Iran, and he wants to, that's the only place he can qualify to live as far as purchasing. At the moment he lives with a niece and an aunt, and he, due to cultural reason, he has too much pride to live with the family member for a long time. So temporarily he's staying there, so if he can, he should be able to buy something soon we move out. But then talking to the members, they deny him as far as being covering all the qualification. So I'm here to see if there is any way of having exception due to the age, to have him to go forward with purchasing a place and staying here. And having a guarantor is out of question because he asked a couple of family member, and they denied him, and he has too much pride to move on with another member of family, and he had issues with them not liking to do that with him. So,
Okay.
okay.
Thank you very
Sure.
much.
Good morning, I'm Bob Hatch, 5064. You will recognize that I'm not a member of United, but I'm a member of the Foundation for Laguna Woods Village, so I'm here to address all of you.
What's your address?
5064.
Okay, I'm sorry.
The foundation was formed in 1997 by some very wise people. The purpose was to help residents of Laguna Woods Village, only residents of Laguna Woods Village, with temporary financial help. As I said, it began in 1997. Since then, our residents here, have raised over $2 million for assistance, and your help is needed in ongoing help. How do we help? Medications, doctor and dental bills, transportation, taxi vouchers, food, supplements and things of that nature, anything where a resident needs some temporary financial help. How do we work? We work in partnership with social services. Social services is an amenity of the village, just like the swimming pools, the buses, the tennis courts. It's an amenity of the community. They identify recipients, they qualify them, they prioritize them, they forward them to us with no names, just a case number. We automatically, I say automatically, approve their recommendations, and the payments go directly to the vendors, not to the residents, which I think is important. So the anonymity is important, and the fact that the payments go directly to the how funded. 1,000 residents last year contributed to our fund. 50 clubs participated to our funds. Early this year, the men's golf course contributed $19,000 to the golf tournament. Fabulous. And more recently, some of the local businesses that depend upon us as their clients have donated as well. Freedom Village and Century 21 Real Estate are examples. So we need help. Our needs are beyond what we have funds for. So please help us out. You can reach us by phone at 226-2246. We have a hall mailbox. You can drop a check in there. We very much appreciate it. If you want to mail us something, we have a post office box, which is 3276 Laguna Hills, 92654. Thank you very much. We appreciate your help.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. As far as, response to member comments. Anyone would like to make a response? Okay, then I will. So regarding the lady the realtor that made the response about asking for a special exemption, we have financial requirements to move in our community. And one of the reasons we have those is because we found that there's a significant need for the foundation, which was the second person who made his speech. And before, we would let people in that had no income, no assets, very little. And as well as third, the condos have established financial regulations, at least minimum requirements to meet. And if they can't be met, we have another way of allowing a person to move in by way of guaranteeing that the children can financially take care of the parent. And so there's a way around having limited income by way of the guarantor. But we've established these financial requirements to basically ensure that people, once they move in to our community, could afford to live here and not have to rely on the foundation going so necessary. So that's the reason that we've established those requirements, and they seem to be working out fairly well. But anyway, anyone else would like to make any comments? Okay, so we're going to move on. My speech. Okay, so response to, we did that. Number 7, report of the chair. So I'm going to do a short few words here. First of all, I'd like to welcome our newest board of director member, who's not here today, but she's here via the iPhone, and that's Janie Durrell. So if you can hear me, welcome Janie to our board.
I told her to mute her phone.
Oh, okay. And she's our newest board member who took place of Ken Hammer. And we wish that Ken does triumph over his recent illnesses, and hopefully he will get better and recover. We'll be having August 30th. We're going to be having, I believe that's the date, we're going to be having a meet and greet for new candidates. And on August 30th, where we'll have the chance to meet and greet the new candidates running for the 3 open positions, replacing 3 of our board members who are leaving this fall. And they are Eva Leidick, Barbara Copley, and Ming Lee Chang. So we will miss you guys, and maybe you'll change your mind and come back. But at this point, we wish you well, and we look forward to the meet and greet where we can meet the new candidates. Today, we're going to have a few big issues which we'll be discussing this morning. One of the issues, and you're going to be welcome to talk to these issues when the resolutions are brought up, but one of the issues that we started talking about several months ago is the issue of subleasing. So we're introducing a resolution that's going to restrict rentals for new buyers during the first year after purchase. And we hope that that's going to reduce the increase in our rentals in our community going forward. Because, as you know, if we get to the point where we're over 20% rentals, the company that loans us money, which is the only company that loans to co-ops, will stop loaning. So we're now at 8%, but we're rising very quickly. The land use is a second issue, which you're going to be talking about. We brought it up last month, and we're going to bring it up again because last month we were deadlocked, and we may be this time too, but we're going to bring it up again. We're going to talk about it, and we're discussing the same land use resolution, which we were deadlocked, as I said, last month. We tried to secure a compromise land use position that requires a case-by-case approval by the board within certain land use parameters. So we're going to look at that resolution again, and we're going to vote on it and talk about it and see what happens. Then we're also nearing completion of the 2017 budget, and thanks to staff's great review of all departments and consolidating of all departments, we're able to reduce some positions and develop a budget that is flat. The second revision that's coming out shortly appears like the only increase will be due to the solar project, which we are financing ourselves and asking for each member to pay up to no more than $10 per month for the next 5 years to replenish our reserves. And we'll be talking more about that this morning as well. The solar plan will generate yearly savings of around $400,000 to our community, pay for the program within 10 years, and continue to generate long-term savings in the millions for our residents. The other thing that we did relating to the budget recently was that we got for the first time, our community got to review the brokers that provide our insurance for our community. And this was in the GRF Finance Committee, where we looked at all the brokers that provide insurance, and insurance is valued at, cost us, the community, around $4 to $5 million a year. It's a big expense. And we got to look at the brokers and their backgrounds and their capabilities, and we were involved, meaning the boards were involved in the direction and the selection of which broker that we had recommended. And as a result, just in the review of the brokers, we were able to save about $100,000 in broker fees. And now the broker that we've selected, along with staff, will go out and try to get the most competitive insurance for us. So it was a good process and I wanted to thank Brad for opening that up to us and allowing that capability, because opening those types of things up will save us a lot of money in the future. And that's really all I have. So we're going to turn it over to Brad. He wants to make a few comments at this point. Brad, take it away.
Thank you, Mr. President. A lot of things happening right now. We're very, very busy. As you said, we're kind of on the downhill side of the budget process, and I think we've had a very collaborative and successful approach to that, which is going to essentially maintain or lower assessments for residents, depending on your affiliation. And it's going to increase services in most areas as well, particularly on the direct customer service side. We are really doing well. I think I maybe told you at your last meeting, 4 months ago, we were answering about 58% of the calls that came in every day. And the rest of them were just sort of tucked away somewhere. And so I don't know where. I haven't found them yet. Anyway, now we're about 98% of the calls that come in every day are answered immediately, and the ones that go to voicemail are returned before employees leave for the day. So every day, every call is returned, and in fact, on many days, we have excess capacity. And so what we've started doing is outbound calls, calling customers who called that week and asking them if they got the service they needed and giving them a little survey. So for the last couple of weeks, we've been surveying plumbing services. And maybe that's an unfair one to start with, because if you need a plumber, who doesn't love the plumber? I mean, anyway, our plumbers apparently get a 97% favorable rating from our residents, which I'm not surprised by that. Because when you need one, and you hope they're good, and if you're lucky, they're nice. But ours are always nice and always good, and the residents are very, very supportive. So we're going to start the next 2 weeks when we have excess capacity. We're going to be doing some outbound calls on our carpentry services and get a sense how residents feel like that. So this is just an ongoing thing. We're also now accepting some gate access calls as well over at Resident Services, which is really where we're transitioning, several months down the road. Calls for gate access will not be going to the gates anymore. They'll be coming to Resident Services and our call center operation there. So we're just kind of using that small volume of overflow to train the current people in Resident Services how to handle access calls. So be patient if you get one of those. They're not as good as the folks who've been answering 30,000 calls a month at the gates for the last 10 years, but they'll learn, and it's an improvement in the overall service to our community. So very happy with that. You've probably seen a little bit of work going on at Gate 3. I don't know if anybody's noticed that or not. That is a pilot remodel project, and I had proposed to GRF that we take the gates that are out there that are in less than ideal condition, and then we go ahead and just do a modest remodel on them rather than the full rebuild like we did at 5 and 6. They had special needs that other gates don't require. And so that was just a couple weeks ago, but we had Gate 3 ready to go, so we implemented the pilot project immediately, and so that'll be done in the next week or two, and I think it's going to be a big enhancement for that part of the community, but particularly for the ambassadors who spend hours and hours in those buildings under less than ideal conditions. I think it'll be a huge, huge improvement. So I look forward to doing that. And we think that's going to run probably under $15,000 to remodel the whole thing, which is quite a bit less than building a new one. Very excited about that. And then I wanted just to share that we've been talking about technology initiatives and all the things that we'd like to do to make our community more efficient, to make it more transparent, to improve customer service. Well, those things are starting to happen now. Things are being implemented, and so I'd like to suggest, if the board's willing, that maybe for your next meeting that we have Chuck here and take 15 minutes and go through the 10 projects that are going to affect your residents, because we really have a lot that's starting to happen, and I want to share that in many ways with the community and with this board. So I would suggest that. Likewise, we're looking at a lot of our marketing materials, handouts, websites, all that kind of theming is ongoing, and Meeting Communications is working on that, but I wanted to also include the boards directly, and so as we get a little closer, we'll get some of that information out to you and get your input on that. But I'm very happy with what I see. I think, Lori, the general theme is we like kind of the logo and the look we have now, but needs updating. That's kind of what I'm hearing from, because we've asked for a lot of input, and that seems to be what we're hearing, and update and improve what we have. So I think that's maybe the direction we're going. Very, very happy with that. And generally, I'm very pleased with the progress we're making on a number of construction projects, particularly a number of them in United, but overall in GRF and Third as well. Our projects team is really performing well and delivering quality improvements to the community at a reasonable cost, and most importantly, in a timely way where you can expect improvements and they occur on time and mostly on budget. So with that, I thank you and happy to answer any questions you have of me.
Thank you very much, Brad. Any questions? Okay. Next would be Director Joe Rainey, who's representing Village Management Services Board. And Joe, take it away.
Good morning, Board. Nice to be with you. Before I begin my report to you, I just want to say I was amazed yesterday at the terrific response from our CEO, Brad, all the divisions head, Lori, and all the staff and employees of EMS. It was amazing to watch. I came in about 2 hours after he got this thing going, but they had the employees affected over in the Red Room. They had spiritual people there. They had a lot of food from Olive Garden, I understand. But things happened so quickly, and they brought everybody in, and they brought the counselors came in. It was just amazing to see. And I told Brad this morning that the board is fully supportive of you. Anything you need from the board, you let us know. And I ask and encourage all the other boards and all the residents of Laguna Woods to be especially appreciative of the employees of EMS for the next couple of months. I understand that there's immediate things that need to be done with the employees, counseling, but it's going to take a few months for them to get over this. They'll never forget, but so anything we can do to help our employees, the landscapers, the painters, the managers, the people in the office, I would encourage you to do that. And thank you for working with us, and we hope we're providing a adequate and hopefully exemplary service to you at United. Some of the things that the VMS has been doing, Brad's mentioned quite a few. We've selected a new broker for workers' comp and liability. That's Beecher Carlson. And being in the insurance business myself, I think it's very positive to do that. Health insurance for the employees, they had a competitive bid. Hub International was chosen as the new broker for health insurance. There's interviews going on right now for a controller position and a recreation director. The interview panels included staff and board members, and a finalist has been selected for the controller position. I think I can defer to Brad on any details on that. The salary survey is underway regarding employee compensation. Strategic plan. I know there's a bunch of deliverables that the boards are requesting from VMS. And every time we meet, twice a month, that's always on the agenda. And right now it's nearing completion. There's responsible people, there's deadlines, and we're monitoring that very closely right now. The HR manual for the employees has been finalized. The GRF capital plan, 39 projects, tentatively approved by GRF at their budget meeting. The Gate 5 project begins on August 15th, and VMS is going to communicate that through mail, email, Channel 6, and robocalls. Brad already mentioned Gate 3. I go by there every day, and it's looking really nice. Brad also mentioned Chuck is working on a bunch of technology issues. And the budget is being televised with GRF United and Third. Our next meeting is August 17th. It's the third Wednesday. All the board members are always welcome to attend. The open meeting will start at 9:30. And we'll try everything we can to start at 9:30. Because sometimes our closed meetings go on, with personnel issues within VMS. And sometimes we take a lot of time in discussing personnel issues and things within VMS to make it more efficient. At that point, are there any questions?
I just wanted to make a comment. I got I'm not sure if staff put it out or if you put it out or if you directed staff to put it out, but your 5-10 page little pamphlet about what you're going on and how it relates to your goals. I was very impressed with the professionalism.
I think staff did a wonderful job on that.
Whoever did it did great.
Well, we got
Yeah.
input from the boards, and we communicated that to the staff, and staff has done an exemplary job in responding to your requests, so thank you.
I want to thank you on behalf of our board,
Yes,
because I
sir.
think we selected some really good candidates, and I think Third and GRF selected some good candidates onto VMS, and you have a very good team of people, of board members, and thank you for all that you've taken on, and it's a big responsibility, and it's starting to show big benefits now too. But so appreciate all your efforts serving our community, serving our employees. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Lynn.
Mr. President, I did want to point out that Joe and Dan Kinney from VMS were there yesterday supporting our employees on behalf of you and VMS. So thank you, Joe.
Thank you, Brad.
Okay, next item is approval of the minutes for July 12th. Is there anyone who would like to make a motion to approve the minutes? Barbara, any second? Don? Okay, all those in favor of approving the minutes, raise your hand. Okay, it's approved. Okay, consent calendar. All matters listed under the consent calendar are considered routine and will be enacted by the board by one motion in the form listed below. In the event that an item is removed from the consent calendar by a member of the board, such item shall be subject of further discussion and action by the board. So is there any motion to approve the consent calendar as it is? Okay. All those in favor, raise your hand. Okay, it's approved. Guess there's no landscape committee recommendations. Finance committee, that includes all of those. Okay, so we're up to committee reports. Okay. So the first, before an action item is open for discussion, a motion and a second must be recognized by the chair. After the board discusses the issue, the chair will open the floor to audience on the motion or resolution. A member may only address the chair once for each agenda item. There is a maximum time limit of 3 minutes on motions before the board. The board reserves the right to limit the total amount of time allotted. Okay, so for the first committee report, Juanita is going to do the finance because Pat's not here today. So Juanita, please.
Okay, can I have slide 1, please, upstairs? There we go. Our total revenue for United through June 30th, 2016 was $19,452,000, compared to expenses of $17,808,000, resulting in more revenue than expenses by $1,644,000. Much of this is due to timing of reserve projects. Slide 2, please. With our new system, this one. Okay, with our new system, we now have fund accounting that helps us to see the activity between operating and reserve funds. This chart shows how much of our revenue went into operations and how much into the funds. Okay, next slide. All right, with a favorable bottom line of $1,644,000 compared to a planned savings of $184,000 through June, United Mutual was favorable to budget by $1,460,000, primarily due to more revenue received than planned. Assessments received were $672,000 more than anticipated at the time of budget preparation due to changes from the Orange County tax assessor, resulting in higher real estate taxes. In 2015, the county assessor restored property values to market, ending the temporary economic relief of Proposition H, which held down assessed values. We're all seeing that in our assessments. Overall expenses, that's the next one. Yeah. A favorable variance of $426,000 in compensation due to some open positions. Also, union medical costs are favorable by 1 month due to a change in the payment accrual dates for 2016. Further, contributing to this variance was a savings in non-union retirement due to timing. Matching contributions to the new VMS Inc. 401k plan did not start until April of this year. Favorable variance resulted in materials and supplies of $372,000, resulted from fewer reserve expenditures for manor water heater replacements than anticipated. The program was on hold for a while due to procedural requirements that were mandated by the City of Laguna Woods. The city recently approved installation of a device that will comply with regulations, and work is being rescheduled. A favorable variance resulted from elimination of the management fee. The favorable variance of $79,000 offsets United's portion of unbudgeted compensation and related costs for the CEO and community manager. A favorable variance of $656,000 in outside services resulted from fewer reserve expenditures for landscape revitalization, countertop replacements, building structure replacements, and moisture intrusion events than anticipated. These savings were partially offset by an unfavorable variance in property tax of $758,000 for the reasons that I mentioned above. Okay, slide 5. On this pie chart, we show the non-assessment revenues received to date of $817,000 by category, and I know it may be difficult for you to see on TV, starting with our largest revenue generating category, which is the large blue part, miscellaneous, which includes lease, resale, processing fees, golf cart electric fees, followed by chargeable services, income, interest income, and laundry revenue from the coin-operated washers. And on the next pie chart, we show the expenses to date of $17.8 million by category, with our largest category, the blue part, of expense for property taxes, compensation, and utilities. The reserve balances on June 30th, 2016 were just over $21 million. Year-to-date contributions to the reserves were $4,148,000. Year-to-date expenditures were $4,590,000, and the average yield on investments was $132,000. I'd also like to report on the resales. For United, in July, we had 45 resales, which was down from last year. But the price, the average resale price of $242,242 was up from what it was last year. Our year-to-date monthly average is 44, with a total of 313 resales so far this year. And our monthly average for resale prices is $220,192, which is up from $217,149. So we're doing pretty well. We're right in the average for the whole year of what we've done year by year. On our monthly leasing report, not quite as good. In the month of July, we had 5 one-month resales, subleases, 47 three-month subleases, 52 six-month subleases, 404 12-month subleases, and 11 that were renewed for more than the 1 year. The total for this year is 519 sublets, which is over the total of 461 that we had this time last year. We had 40 expirations. That means leases, sublets that expired. And our new monthly transactions in sublets were 94, with 22 renewals and 56 extensions. So it continues to rise. And that's my report of the Finance Committee.
Thank you. Thank you, Juanita. Okay, next will be Don.
Am I allowed to ask a question now?
No.
So how do we ever get answers to the questions for reports?
You could go to the committees. You can go to the Finance Committee if you have a question about finance.
Okay, thank you.
Talk to me after the meeting.
Yeah. It's Don for Finance Committee.
All right, thank you, Mr. President.
Maintenance and infrastructure.
We had 9 items on the consent calendar, which you approved this morning. Thank you. 7 of those items were for variance requests, and 2 of them were appeals for our previous decisions. We discussed gutter cleaning a little bit. Our gutters are cleaned once a year, and we're having a problem with the gutters on the downspouts clogging up a little bit. So when it rains, it will rain again. When it does, if you get a chance, check your downspout and see if the water is coming out. Because if it isn't, we will go out there and unplug them, and if they get plugged up, it increases the possibility of more dry rot. The preventive maintenance program, that's where you get 3 maintenance people coming in and doing different little items in your manor. We have as it is now, we have 3 men coming out for 1 manor. We're thinking about changing that to 1 man on each manor, which would increase of the effectiveness and be a lot more cost effective. Water conservation, that is the replacement of toilets. We are on track to finish the project in about 2 more years. As of last June, we have changed out 3,005 new low flush toilets. interior waste line program, this is still in the testing phase, but I am glad to report that the epoxy lining for the inside waste lines can now be put through a 2-inch line. And if that, we're going to test it in a second manner, and if it really comes out the way we hope it is, it's going to save us millions of dollars, and we will not have to tear up the concrete flooring and tile or whatever you have on that. So that's really a positive thing. The cost, for example, it would be about $10,000 per manor with the epoxy and $40,000 without the epoxy. So it's a huge savings. We did discuss the appliance policy, and that's on the agenda. It's pretty detailed, but before we go into discussion, I'd like to have our secretary read the resolution, please.
This is Resolution 0116, Appliance Policy, whereas the United Laguna Woods Mutual has a policy for the repair and replacement of specific major appliances maintained within the mutual's dwelling units. And whereas staff has investigated and analyzed the level of effort required to replace the various appliances and the impact this activity has on the overall performance of the corporation. Now therefore be it resolved, September 13th, 2016, the Board of Directors of this corporation hereby approves the revised appliance policy to shift non-standard appliances to the member, and further resolved that Resolution 010343, adopted February 13th, 2003, is hereby suspended and canceled, superseded and canceled. Resolved further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation to carry out the purpose of this resolution. Now, this requires a 30-day postponement to the next regular meeting to allow for employee input. So I move this resolution for as of today.
I'll second.
May I ask a question?
Yeah, I think so. Now we'd open up to discussion.
Okay, I
so
understand
go
that.
ahead.
I understand that when I bought purchased my unit, Andre Torn 389Q. When I purchased my unit, I upgraded it to a newer model that's allowed by the VMS. Okay, so right now I have a newer model, but the VMS is doing maintenance. Okay, now my question is, if I sell my unit, and I understand it will be grandfathered in after this resolution. Now, my question is, if I sell my unit, will it be grandfathered for the next owner?
So you're talking about your appliances?
Yes.
It's a good question.
I can try to answer that. Staff member Francis is the one who gave us a report, and she's really pretty sharp on that. But since she's not here, and I'm losing my voice again, you'll have for everyone, you'll have a choice of staying in the program we're in now, or selecting your own appliance, which would be considered an alteration, and you would be responsible for the maintenance. The ones that are in there now, if you've upgraded, they will be grandfathered in for maintenance.
For the next owner.
But if you move and you take it with you, you have to replace it with the original one. Or if you can't find that, then you, the buyer and the seller, will have to make some kind of agreement. We would be out of the United would be out of the program at that time for that particular manner.
Okay.
The appliances move with the unit.
Sorry, say that again.
The appliances move with the unit.
Okay, so as long as the appliance stays there, the new owner and the future new owners will be under the contract and will be maintained by VMS. Is that interpretation correct? No?
Unless it was an alteration. If it was
If
a
it's
new
an
one.
alteration, no.
If it's currently grandfathered in.
Oh, the
will it-
grandfathered in.
Yeah, will it be grandfathered for the future owners?
Yes, the part of it that is not upgraded will be maintained. For example, if you had a self-cleaning oven, the self-cleaning part would not be maintained. Or a refrigerator, if you added a ice maker, that would not be maintained.
I
But the
understand
basic
that.
one would be.
Yeah, whatever grandfathered in will still maintain for the next
I
owner.
think Francis could probably answer some of your questions.
Oh, there's
She's-
Francis.
She's just walked in.
Okay. Okay. Second question is that if this system breaks down, if I have to replace, but if I replace with the same model, which is the previous one, the previous model is grandfathered in, but I replace the same model, will it be grandfathered in?
No, Francis, you want to
Yeah, maybe
help on
Francis
those?
can help out.
If it's an okay, I'll let you do all the talking.
Good morning. I think, if I'm not mistaken, the first question he asked was if his current upgraded appliance will still be a standard appliance maintained by the mutual if he were to resell his unit. And the answer to that question is yes. It's still grandfathered in. It's the current policy does recognize the the members who are currently in the upgraded version and the different type of appliance. So it will be maintained by the mutual. If it's currently maintained by the mutual, it will remain to be maintained by the mutual. The only difference that happens, and this might be able to help you, and I ran down the stairs, so excuse me a little
Thank
bit
you,
winded.
Francis.
Currently, the board supplies standard appliances, which is what this packet is. So for an example, the current policy dictates that the member is able to replace the existing appliance with what the current standard is. For example, using a refrigerator as an example, this is the standard appliance that the board has approved. The member currently could get an upgraded version, which would be the same brand, same type, except that they would have additional features such as an ice maker. And then the current policy dictates that a member could also choose a different type of appliance, which means that it's this refrigerator, same brand, except it might have the freezer at the bottom instead of on top. Now, the current policy is cumbersome in the ordering process, and it's time-consuming on the front end with the member and on the back end with the staff member as well. So the proposed changes is a clear separation between what's a standard appliance and a non-standard appliance, meaning that the board will still supply and maintain these standard appliances to the current members and any future members that fall under this policy or this category, and any non-standard appliances, the member would receive a disbursement program, go to Home Depot, go to whatever company of their choice, purchase their appliance there, and then from that point forward of receiving this disbursement program, they will be responsible for all the maintenance, responsible for any repairs, responsible for everything beyond that, including if they sell the unit, the new member and any future owners will continue to be obligated under that policy, which means it's an alteration. It will be from that point forward forever an alteration.
If the member orders a non-standard appliance, they'll still get some reimbursement for it?
Yes, that's what the policy, the new proposed policy will dictate. If the member chooses any of the standard appliances, it would be ordered, it would be installed, it would be maintained by the mutual. The mutual still maintains ownership of that appliance. If the member says, no, I don't want any of these, I want to go shop on my own, okay, they fill out a form that will be supplied to them. They will be issued a disbursement check, and from that point forward forever, it would be treated as an alteration to the unit.
And that means that's their responsibility to take care of it, but they'll still get a reimbursement for that appliance,
Yes,
even if
and it
it's a
will-
non-standard appliance.
Yes, and it will only be a one-time non-standard, one-time disbursement check.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much for that explanation.
I just want to reply to Andre. VMS has no part in this This is a united policy. VMS does not get involved with our appliances or anything else. So please don't talk about VMS.
Sorry, I wasn't talking about policy, I was talking about maintenance responsibility, will they be responsible? Okay. Okay, now, follow up on that question. And I have a satisfactory answer on that. I really like it, that if currently grandfathered, the future owners will also be grandfathered, so that we agree on that, and I like that. Thank you very much. And the follow-up question is, if my unit breaks down and I have to replace it with the same model, will it be grandfathered in?
If it's grandfathered in now and it breaks down, I think it would, wouldn't it, Francis? Yeah, because that's the original program.
And I could clarify. If the standard appliances, and we're using refrigerator again as an example, is straight cut, this is what the board has approved to be quote unquote a standard appliance. It's what they review through their business planning program every year. Now, if the current member who's going to be grandfathered under this policy has the ice maker, let's use as an example. Right now, it's considered a mutual owned appliance. And if the refrigerator would need to have repair service, staff will go out there and repair the refrigerator. However, any upgraded components such as that ice maker will not be touched. That's the responsibility of the member. So now let's suppose that member, once it's up for replacement, says, okay, I'm gonna need to replace my appliance. Can I replace it? The answer is yes, because it's a mutual owned appliance. However, their only choices are whatever the board has approved at that time. If they come in with an appliance that has the ice maker and the board has not approved that to be a standard, then you can only get this. Otherwise, you could also opt into this disbursement program, which means that you get to go to Home Depot, whatever vendor of your choosing. So it's whatever standard appliance is defined by the board at whatever that year is that they choose to change.
Okay. Thank you very much for this answer. And yes, my understanding, yes, because it's mutual-owned appliance, it will be taken care of by the mutual. Okay. So follow-up on that question is, what if the model is no longer available? We know this is a long time period, and sometimes they change models. What if the model is no longer available and it's mutual appliance? So I assume that mutual will take care of that. Is that a good assumption?
I think you misunderstood the answer. If your refrigerator with an ice maker needs to be replaced,
right,
and you want to replace it with an ice maker, and that's not the mutual standard, then that's on you. You'll have to participate in the disbursement program.
Okay, I understand.
Yeah.
That's not what I'm talking about. Okay, I'm assuming there's no ice maker, everything's standard based on the grandfathering, nothing in there special for that I purchased that's not the standard. So the whole unit is grandfathered in. But if in 10 years it breaks down and there's no such model exist anymore, what are we?
The mutual will have a new standard that will be applicable.
Give us a little credit, Andre. We update this all the time.
Yeah, we'll provide you with the standard unit. We'll have that in stock most likely.
Yeah, I understand that these are fine details, and I just don't want to be left out in the cold. And I understand that seems like we are putting more and more restriction on it. I just don't want to get caught.
We're going to have to move on, Andre, because there's other people that like to make comments.
Okay.
So maybe one more, if you have one more question.
Okay.
That's it.
All right. So does that mean as long as I'm choosing within the suggested model, it will be covered if the model is obsolete or something like that? Yes. Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Next.
Yeah, if I just may answer him.
Yeah.
The current policy, which also transferred a version, language in the current policy that also transferred into the new proposed policy, does dictate that in his example, if the appliance is in disrepair and in need of maintenance, and it's 10 years down the line where the serviceable parts are beyond the life of the unit or beyond the cost that it would be to repair it, the member will receive the ability to go and replace the appliance in its entirety. It's something that you currently do now, and it's something that did pass on to the new policy.
Yeah, please.
Hi, Cindy Statzman, 910Q. I'm thinking of replacement only. That's my only question. When we moved in, we had a brand new refrigerator from our previous home, so we brought it. We turned in our old refrigerator, and they said that because we still pay an assessment every month, after 20 years, we can replace it with a standard. My question, and I don't know if that's my question is that going to change? Let's say that I decided to buy an LG next year, and then 20 years from then, I want to go back to the standard. Can I go back to the standard?
I don't think so.
No, you cannot.
No.
Yes. The new policy clearly defines it's a standard or a non-standard. A standard, the mutual owns it, the mutual repairs it, the mutual maintains it. Non-standard is completely the responsibility of the member. They get the one-time disbursement program, and it's considered an alteration. The standard is whatever the board dictates at that time. So the member could come and opt for the standard because they currently have a mutual standard appliance. If they choose that they want the LG or a brand that the mutual does not consider the standard, then their option is to go through this disbursement program, and it's an alteration. And it's similar to the concept of if a member comes to you and gets approval for an awning or a patio enclosure, the mutual will never take responsibility of that patio enclosure because it's an alteration. It's the change they made to the unit. As a result, from that point forward, they will always be responsible for that alteration, whether they remain the owner or any new owners that come and purchase the unit with the alteration.
She's asking if she gets an alterated refrigerator, and at some point in the future, she wants to get rid of that and return to a standard refrigerator. Can she do that?
You can never return to a standard unless you currently have a standard and are considered that you have an appliance that the mutual owns. In this example, we would have to check into her account to see if she's part of the people that fall under a replacement. Your current policy allowed for members to go and purchase an LG refrigerator or purchase anything that wasn't standard with the additional features or with the bottom freezer, using our same example. And in that case, those members are already considered that that's an alteration. That's a responsibility that the member already has.
Based on that response, I respectfully request that you alter this resolution because we're still paying in our reserves every month. And quite honestly, when my husband dies, I'm not going to be able to take care of the refrigerator by myself. And I'm sure I'm not alone in that. And I respectfully request that you amend it. Thank you.
Francis Jones.
If I may answer, the future reserves or the future budget for the appliances will be lowered as members opt into this disbursement program or the replacement program. So what the member currently pays in future years, that will be lowered because the budget will only reflect what this current standard or what the members who currently have standards.
My first comment, it'll never change, but Roberta Burke, 933B. I'm listening to this. First of all, I hope that all this was printed in last month's, what is this called? Meeting papers, agenda, and I missed it. Because if this wasn't in there, then I think this should be postponed another 30 days before you give the 30 days, because I think it's necessary for people to grasp what's in here. I am having difficulty with all that's going on, trying to read what is actually in here. So am I mistaken that it was not in the agenda?
You're
last month?
mistaken, it was in the agenda.
All these details?
Yes.
Okay, so that I overlooked it, and that's my fault. However, I made a very big mistake when I spoke last month in approving this policy and being in favor of most of it, at least anyway, in that I really thought, and that you guys all had the intention of saving us money and wanting to eventually do away with the storage and the service department, the size of the service department. And I'm sitting here and listening, and I don't see that happening at all. I see that this is simply being done to make it a smoother way to get appliances and eliminate, oh, maybe I should get this, maybe I should get that, sitting with staff. And if that's the case, then it would be up to us individually to go to stores, iron out what it is that we really want, walk in and say to staff, this is I don't want standard, this is what I want, and be finished. Now, I'm looking at this very complicated thing, and I looked at some of the other resolutions that are coming back, and I'm saying something I have said here a number of times. I'm getting the feeling that we are getting piecemealed away from us. You, the board of the mutual, and I respect all the time you put in, and I understand a lot of it, are taking little pieces away, little by little. First you dump the dishwasher, the standard dishwasher in the middle, you're not putting it back anymore. This whole business with, if there's a little tiny change on your standard, no longer does it get serviced by VMS, although I'm hearing now, and correct me please, that it will be chargeable service, which I would be very grateful for. Is that so? VMSI won't service an upgraded refrigerator?
If it's an alteration, no, because that would become our responsibility.
So under no circumstances will VMS service anything but standard?
Correct.
Correct.
That's the way it's always
So
been.
we are, and I hope everybody hears this, not that I like to make trouble. No, I just like to raise issues. You can look at it any way you want. I think there are other people who feel the way I do but don't have a New York mouth, so they just don't come here to talk. I, for example, have a 14-year-old, maybe by now 15-year-old dishwasher, which is a standard dishwasher. Basically, it's a standard. I guess it's called standard. It's your dishwasher. And it doesn't wash. So I now have to decide whether, and it's not replaceable, what I have is not replaceable. So I have to decide, do I want this thing sitting in the middle of my kitchen floor until I find a plumber that may be good enough and responsible, and after all, United people do not deal with plumbers, who will come in and not break your pipes, because they are old pipes. Now, you explain to me what happens when those pipes break because we're installing your dishwasher. And I would like an answer to that question. I just think that along with these changes, and if it's to save money and eliminate help and property and stuff like that, I'm in favor of that over the long term. I am not in favor of just making things easier, or just the mutual collecting my money over 40 years, and I have my refrigerator sitting there if I live 40 years. I mean, it's just not a fair exchange. You made a deal when we moved in here. You said I could change my kitchen. I changed my kitchen, and you won't put in the dishwasher. Every board is making changes that are taking a little bit more away and a little bit more away and not exchanging for anything. Why do I have to keep paying into this?
Roberta, I'm not sure of your question, but we do put dishwashers back in. That's a policy.
Not with a new countertop.
Oh, with the new countertop.
Yes, because you gave me permission to change my kitchen because it saved the mutual money of cutting and all that kind of stuff, so I put in a new kitchen. I am upgrading my unit, and I'm not just talking for myself. You know it's happening all over. Units are being upgraded all over and saving the mutual expenses by doing it and getting people more interested. But you don't give this much, instead you keep taking away this much every time I come to meetings. And in policy, I don't think it's a good policy.
Okay, so the purpose of this appliance policy is to give people choices. And
I had choices before.
Let me finish. So the people who want to upgrade their appliances to an appliance that isn't currently offered, they'll still have the ability to do that. But this policy gives them the ability to get credit where they didn't get it before.
Yes, we did get credit before.
They'll get
I got
paid.
X amount of dollars towards my appliance.
Well, they'll get paid for it, but if you get that new appliance, that it's considered an alteration, and understand that that's going to be the responsibility of the
I understand the
member to
words.
take care
I'm
of it.
trying to express, and I'm not the only one, I'm trying to express the kind of overall policy that seems to be taking place. I know things are expensive, but you're giving me $375, I assume, let's make it an example, for me to go and buy a new dishwasher. And I have to install it, and I have to keep paying. I have to keep paying for all the years I live here for that dishwasher, and call in somebody to repair it when it's your dishwasher to start with. So I'm trying to express my feeling that there's a great deal more thinking.
Roberta, that's very inaccurate,
What?
your whole statement.
Tell me.
I will tell you.
I'm wrong at times.
Okay, you have a non-standard countertop, you have a standard dishwasher.
Right.
When it's ready for replacement, we will deliver one to you.
And drop it in the middle
And
of
you
the
have to
kitchen.
have it installed.
Yes.
But we will maintain it after that, because we don't want to mess with your countertop that you put in there. That's the only difference. So you will still get a unit. If you have it installed, we'll maintain it after that.
So what is it I'm worried about breaking your pipes. That's why I don't want my plumber to install your dishwasher. Because I've lived here long enough to know what's going on with these pipes. So what are you worried about? Why aren't you worried after that? What is the concern? I will pay for VMSI to install it if that's the issue. What is the problem that you won't install your dishwasher? What can they do to a piece of granite?
They can break.
Why can't I sign a release?
Oh, that would be okay.
Something that we should take
Now,
up.
I'm
in
not
a-
talking
in a-
just for me. I want you to realize that.
That's something that we should consider as part of an M&C. Well, we don't want to, as part of maintenance and construction, we may want to consider
Yeah, we can look
doing
that up. I know that we changed the policy just a few months ago that we do install appliances. Because some lady had an appliance on the floor for a month or two, and we put those in now. But
Fine.
since you have a new kitchen,
It's the plumbing issue that's the
plumbing
problem.
issue you're concerned about, we can talk about that.
We can talk about it? Well, I think you should have talked about it before
I'd just like
raised it.
I'd just like to
Thank
ask
you.
if there's anything that our legal counsel could weigh in with this particular question between pipes and countertops and whatever, because we have a responsibility here.
Well, I think that Roberta raised a good issue, and that is managing the risk. And clearly the policy is designed to manage the financial exposure to United. If somebody upgrades their countertops and they're going to replace an appliance that's going to be an integral part of those countertops, then by VMSI or United installing that appliance for that shareholder, there's exposure to financial risk if that improvement, whether it's a countertop, counters, cabinets, whatever, are damaged. So one way to manage that risk, and the board has an obligation to identify risk and to reduce its risk to the corporation, which is reducing risk to the shareholders. And its obligation is to manage that risk, and one solution to this problem is incorporating a modification to the policy, which would require any shareholder that would like VMSI to install their appliance to sign a release of liability agreement.
We have that.
So that would be a viable solution.
We did that. We had that a couple of months ago, where we said they would
Yes.
install, basically, it was for appliances that were taken out for different repairs. They were repairing a wall or a pipe or something. And even if it was non-standard, they would put it back. This is a kind of a different situation with the countertops, and But there is a form that can be filled out that it does not hold us responsible for it. And I have to agree to some extent with you, Roberta. I'm a big proponent of having more chargeable services because our people know our infrastructure, they know what they're doing, and if we have adequate staff to be able to do that, I think that that's the way we need to go. So, but we need to talk about that in M&C.
But you're passing this now.
Yeah, if I may, if I just make a statement, and the maintenance department right now, if there's a pipe that was broken as a consequence of an installation, or right now alterations, the maintenance department field inspector will go out there and meet the member at the unit. If the inspector determines that using this example, if the pipes broke because of age, then the mutual will cover that cost, and the mutual will then replace that pipe. Now, if the inspector determines that that pipe broke because the contractor or the member, it was misused on their part, they will state as such, make the repair, and charge the member. We had an instance about a week ago where the contractor came in and said, oh, we broke a pipe. Inspector was out there, determined, oh, no, you didn't break it. It was going to break regardless of you being in there. So the inspector then went ahead, repaired the pipe, and repaired it in such a way that it allowed the contractor to not only bypass the troubling piece that they were trying to work with, but they worked in combination and just cleaned up the pipe, repaired the pipe, upgraded the pipe, and made it clean and sturdy, ready for whatever alteration they were working on. So it currently happens where the inspector looks out and determines, is this a mutual responsibility because of the age of the pipes, or is this the member's responsibility because of misuse or damage to the pipes?
With all due respect, may I answer that? Maxine McIntosh, 68C. I want to say something that perhaps not everyone has discovered. Is when you go in to the office, you've been told that your dishwasher, it can't be repaired again and it has to be replaced, or the stove has to be replaced, it's just too old and requires too much service. And there's standards, because I kept the standard dishwasher and stove. And you go in and you're given a nice selection. You aren't shown one stove and said, you take this one, you take it or you leave it. You are not shown one dishwasher. This is the only style you can have. You're shown a group of them on several pages from which you can select. But if one is fancier than the standard, you pay for the difference in the two. If I had wanted more push buttons on my dishwasher, which I didn't, I could have paid an extra $40 and gotten that one. It still would have been maintained as a standard. You're given a nice choice. I have a nice slide-in stove that I like. It does have, like Don referred to, the self-cleaning oven, and I was told right away that I'd be responsible for that feature, but the rest of it, when I had something go with the burner, it was fixed right away as a standard. But if anybody hasn't heard that yet, you do have a nice selection when you go into the office and you have to replace a standard, and it can be done at no additional cost at all. And when we heard about someone, I had asked that question years ago, what if I choose to go back to standard? When we moved into our manor, we had yellow and orange flowered vinyl in the bathroom, and my husband and I just hated that. And the owner had upgraded, so to speak, and then had that installed. And we asked if we could go back. We liked the original patterns of standard better than that, and we were told no. Once it's altered, it's your responsibility. If you choose to go to a store and buy what standard offers, that's fine, but we don't take care of that. As I understand, there's one time you can go completely back to standard. You may have enclosed your atrium, you may have torn up your bathrooms and remodeled them, you may have altered the kitchen, and it's all non-standard and all your responsibility, but I understand if the place is destroyed, if it's burned to the ground, the mutual does go in, if you let them, and restore the mutual to standard. I was told that's the one time you can go back to standard. Most people still want to they want to get the natural wood cabinets, they don't want the painted cabinets, and so forth. But I understand that was the policy I was told when I was on the board, that if it's destroyed, now I don't think we've ever had that happen in United. Certainly not in the last 23 years. If it's ever destroyed, then if you choose you want to go back to standard, it'll be restored to standard by the mutual at mutual expense.
Francis, could you maybe there's a little confusion about this policy. Can you explain just maybe in 2 or 3 minutes why we came up with this and what the changes are to our current policy with this new policy?
Yes, the current policy allows the members to choose the standard appliance or upgrade and choose a different appliance. They do it through the Resident Services Department right here on the first floor. The process for a standard appliance is really easy because these are their choices that the member has, and it's approximately a 30-minute process with the member. If the member chooses to upgrade or make a change to it, that's when it becomes complicated. The member is then referred to Home Depot or any of the other vendors in the surrounding area to go and do their job. Look at the appliances, look at what they want, what they desire in their appliance for General Electric, because that's the ones that they order. And then they'll come and speak with the customer service representative from the Resident Services Department and tell them, this is the appliance I want, this is what the features that I want with it. The customer service rep, the staff member, will get on the phone, call the General Electric hotline, and literally wait until they get a sales agent on the phone to get quotes on the pricing of the appliances that the member has requested. It could be very easy, as in, this is the appliance with this feature, here's the model number, how much would it cost? To very extensive, as in, these are the 10 choices I have, and then get pricing for all 10 different choices. And then the member still has the option to make the change or even request something else before committing to the appliance, the upgraded appliance, or different appliance. The current policy is complicated in the definition side of it, such as the refrigerator is a standard, but with the ice maker, it's an upgrade, but with the freezer at the bottom, it's a different type of appliance. And if you don't choose General Electric and choose something else, then it's a replacement, which is already considered an alteration. So the new policy was created, one, to eliminate the cumbersome process that is currently in existence on the staff side of it and on the member side of it, and also to clearly define and make a line of separation of what's considered a standard that the mutual owns and maintains versus what's considered non-standard that the mutual does not own, does not maintain, and does not repair or attach.
Oh, yep.
Maggie Blackwell, 71D. I think a prudent way of doing this would be to not pass this at the time, and until you are clear that you are willing to take the risk of other people breaking into the walls and doing the plumbing issues that are required for newly purchased appliances. If the owner signs a waiver, that would solve your concern, but still allow a safer installation for the appliance. And what you want is the safest installation for the appliance. Thank you.
So we've had a first and a second for this resolution. It is a resolution, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So we're going to vote for it or vote against it. So all those in favor of the appliance policy as it's written, please raise your hand.
Janie, are you there?
Okay, we got
Janie?
1, 2. Okay, she's no.
Your vote is what? You broke up
Hello?
there. Yes, we're here.
Okay, I wanted to say something and you guys didn't hear me. I just wanted to know, is Lily qualified to vote on this? This is a land use after not a conflict of interest. I believe there is a conflict of interest in being a realtor.
Janie? Janie, we're voting on the appliance.
Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry. I vote yes on your plan.
She votes yes on the appliance.
Okay, all those in favor of the appliance policy, raise your hand. 1, 2, Janie, 3.
5, Jeannie, 6, 7.
Okay. All those opposed? Okay, 1. So it's approved. Appliance policy is approved. Okay, thank you, Don.
Thankfully.
Okay, I think we're going to skip over 14 because we didn't have an energy meeting last month, but we will have it this month. Eva will be back. And landscape is...
No meeting.
No meeting landscape? Okay, so we're going to skip over that. And then we'll go to Juanita for governing documents, number 16.
Our governing documents met on Monday, July 25th, and we had Brian Howard, who is a former employee who now works as a contractor and is in the process of compiling all of the operating rules, not just for United, but for also for GRF and Third, but we got to be first. Ours are all done into one document that is on the website and is indexed and does have links to the relating resolutions that go with it. So Eve Morton will be keeping this up to date. We had a 2-year period where nothing was put in and we were concerned. That's all been taken care of and it should all be up to date. We reviewed the elections standard operating procedure and proposed some final changes that are mostly that are administrative. We'll be looking at that in another resolution. There were things that didn't correspond with state law. And we were concerned that realtors weren't giving new home buyers all of the information on alterations and now on appliance, and we need to work with them to make sure that everybody's getting the correct information up front when we have these rules. So that concludes my report on the governing docs. We will be meeting again August 22nd, 2 p.m. upstairs in the Sycamore Room.
You want to continue on the traffic hearings?
Okay, the traffic hearings. I did the traffic hearings this month, and I can't say enough for how wonderful our security division is where the traffic things are concerned. There are videotapes of every violation that we can look at and see, and the person with the violation comes in, I didn't do that, I stopped, I wasn't speeding, and they see the videotape and they see the actual number on the radar of how fast they were going or how they just threw a stop sign and they're, ooh, okay. But one thing I would like to say about the traffic hearings, one thing that was different this month that I thought was really nice, we have always said in this village, see something, say something. And it's usually a negative. If there's something wrong, tell us about it. Well, in this traffic hearing, we had something good. We had a member who witnessed a traffic violation where the person who got the violation notice was very belligerent, got out of his car, I won't say threatened there, but was just in his face. And the bystander, the member who was standing on there, wrote a letter and said, hey, the officer acted with great discretion. I don't know how he kept his cool. It was a wonderful thing, and it made me really respect our security division. So we thought that was wonderful, and it's great if you do see something positive. Let's say that too.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Juanita. Okay. And then report of disciplinary cases, number 18. Tom?
Now we get some good news. member disciplinary. As the report indicates, in August, number of cases in August kind of stayed the same. It went up to from 93 to 108. We did resolve 37 cases, but when you look at the categories, we're down in several categories, which is a good sign that Frances and her staff is doing a good job. Animal nuisance is down. It's always a problem in the village, and it's down considerably, so that's a good thing. Carport, from June to August, I mean, it's down. Carport clutter, again, continues to kind of lead the pack of violations. It's back up, and I'm sure the security personnel who do that will stay on top of that. As everybody notices, there's requirements of time for a letter and then a final letter, and then they set them for a hearing. So I just want people to understand that's what this report is telling us. It's telling us that they are doing the process when we have a hearing. You look at the back one, again, one that always is very, very important to all of us is the illegal occupancy. They keep fighting that. It's kind of stayed somewhat the same, but it is going down a little bit, which is promising. There's a lot of United residents that create a nuisance for somebody else. It continues to stay up there. If you see there, it says their first letter 21 out of this 32, so we got hit with some new ones pretty badly. So we still need to stay on top of that. The other categories, again, we're talking about alterations. Unauthorized alterations is down slightly, but still concerns me. I want to shout out to Frances and her staff. They're working very hard to make sure that people are doing the right things and following the rules. And when they don't, they bring it to our attention. So that's my report, Mr. Chair.
Yep.
I'd like to make a comment on that. I mentioned the see something, say something. We think of all of you, of our residents, as our eyes and ears out in the village. And I get calls every week from people who say, I don't want to call security because I'm afraid my neighbor will get mad at me, or something like that. Would you please turn this in? This is what the situation is. Please be assured, even though they ask your name and telephone number, if you fill out a compliance report, it still has your contact information on it. But that information is not given out. It is virtually anonymous. That's if security or compliance needs to contact you again and say, how many times has this happened? What did you say? Or they have a question, they have a contact. If we just have a complete anonymous, we never can have any follow-up. Now, we have been meeting with staff, and there's looking into putting a hotline in, but I think that there's a lot of things for illegal occupancy and nuisance that we as directors hear about all the time because our members don't want to make complaints. Please let us know when something's wrong.
Lenny, I just want to add one thing. In these situations, a lot of times, it's one person says something happened, and the other person says it didn't happen. It's very difficult sometimes to try to figure out what actually happens, like in these nuisance situations, etc. And what I try to tell people is, we need a third. We need either someone else saw something and tells us in the hearing, which gives us which side to go, and other types of evidence, photographs, you name it, recordings, anything they can give us that will help us get to the facts really help. So I say that to all our members.
Yeah, I also wanted to mention something too. I got a call, and it's a scam from the IRS, but it's not really the IRS. And I saw there was an article in the Globe about it, but if you get calls by someone demanding personal information from you, don't give it out. by all means. They're using our community because we have a lot of older folks that trust people too much over the phone and give this information out. So the IRS, I know it's a scam. Do not give your information out to them or anybody else that asks it over the phone. It's very dangerous because you could lose a lot of money by doing that. And I just wanted to mention that because that's a scam that's going on now, and there's others that are going to follow it, I'm sure.
I just wanted to mention along that, I've had calls from a grand jury. It would be to your benefit to contact us, da-da-da-da-da, you are in trouble, da-da, and it's a scam. And so I've had 2 calls like that. There was an article in the Globe on it, so don't even answer it. I've written the number down and tried to notify the government, but they're too busy to take the call. But just don't pay any attention.
Okay, thank you, Barbara. Okay, next, yeah. Juanita.
One more thing on that. I encourage everybody with their family to think of a code word. Because you get calls, and I have gotten them saying, this is your grandson, I've been arrested, I need this money for bail, I need it right now, whatever. Now, I knew it was a scam because of the name that they called me, which is not what my grandson calls me. And so if you have a code word that you can ask for, it's really easy to make sure we as grandparents, parents want to help, but that way we're not getting scammed.
Okay, next, I'd like to go over some unfinished business. We have a series of resolutions to talk about. First one is 19A. Would you like to read that, Juanita? That's a new motion.
This is not a resolution, it's just a motion.
A motion.
But I move that we accept the staff recommendation on the water heater replacement for the Watts flood-safe device.
Oh, at a cost
second.
at a cost of $292,200, funded from the 2016 reserve fund.
I'll
Okay.
second.
Is there a second? Okay.
Barbara.
All those in favor, raise your hand.
Voice vote. Voice vote.
Voice vote? Why? Why?
The person on the phone.
Oh, Janie. Janie, are you in favor? Janie can't hear us. Okay, so we'll just say she abstains.
Barbara.
Okay, all those against? Okay, so that's approved. Okay, next is 19B, is a resolution
Yes.
on the subletting. Could you read that, please?
I'd
Juanita?
be happy to. Okay. This is Resolution 0116XX, resolution to restrict subletting for 1 year after purchase. Whereas the United Occupancy Agreement, Article 5, use of premises, states that the member agrees to reside in, occupy, and use the dwelling unit in conformity with California Civil Code 51.3. And whereas the United Board believes that owner occupancy contributes to the stability and viability of the community. Excuse me? Thank you very much. Vitality, not viability. Vitality, the stability and vitality of the community. And whereas the United Board wishes to uphold the owner occupancy requirements in the occupancy agreement by limiting the number of dwelling units that are not owner-occupied. Therefore, be it resolved, August 9th, 2016, members, i.e. persons obtaining membership on or after the date of this resolution, are restricted from subleasing their unit for 1 year after the purchase of the unit. And resolved further that 1 year prohibition against subleasing rule does not apply to successor trustees who become members after the death of the trustor, provided the unit was already in the rental pool prior to the death of the trustor. Such individuals can sublease their units immediately upon becoming a member. And resolved further that the managing agent is hereby directed to disseminate this information to the realty community serving Laguna Woods Village. And resolved further that the policy shall be put into effect August 9th, 2016, and resolved further, the officers and agents of the corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation to carry out the purposes of this resolution. Final notification has been done to satisfy with civil code. I move this resolution.
Is there a second?
I will second.
A second, Barbara? Okay. Okay, now we open up to discussion. Okay, go ahead, please.
Hi, Cindy Statzman, 910Q. I want to understand why, if it's an inheritance, that someone would have to, it has to be a rental unit already. If I were to die tomorrow, my daughter's too young to live here. I wouldn't want her to necessarily give it up, but she'd have to pay association dues for a whole year before she could rent it. I don't think that's necessarily fair to people who inherit, but I'd like to understand why that part of the resolution is in there.
Wait, Barbara.
Go ahead, Barbara.
Well, once a unit, a manor has been rented, that privilege remains.
Right.
The lady isn't there.
Jason.
That privilege stays with the unit. However, in the case of a trust estate, you have to become a member. You cannot live here without being a member. So you have to qualify. You can inherit it. If it's been rented, you can continue to rent it,
Right.
but you must become a member in order to have it. We have rules, and this is the way the cooperative operates. So you have to accept that. That's the way it is. You signed on to it, that's it. This ruling is to hopefully cut down on the number of violations that we're having, which are enormous, and the workload of the staff, the inspections, hearings, all sorts of things. It is a good thing. Thank you.
So answer to your question, I think, just to confirm what Barbara was saying, if you were renting your place and you pass away and your daughter inherits your property and it's in a trust, she's a trustee, she can continue renting the property.
If she becomes a member?
She just can't become a member. She just can't become a member because she's not age qualified.
You do not inherit membership. You can inherit the share of stock, but you must still, within 60 days, apply for and be granted membership. And that means that you qualify, you age qualify, and our rules that have been here for a long time say only a member with a signed occupancy agreement can sublet a unit.
Roberta Burke, 933B. I have the same issue, and I would like you to clarify a little bit more for the benefit of those in the television audience and myself, exactly what the qualifications to be a member are, because that's been a question walking out of meetings that a lot of people ask, and I think it's important, and then I would like to say what I would like to say. Would you please give us the what it is that qualifies one to be a member besides age?
Okay, I'm going to have Pamela come in, but I'll tell you what my interpretation is. You have to be age qualified. Now, if you inherit a unit or you are a successor trustee, you do not have to go through the financial qualifications because you have inherited that stock certificate. Remember, that's all any of us own is that piece of stock. We do not own the unit, and we cannot leave the unit to other people. We can inherit, you can leave the stock certificate, and that person has to qualify and become a member. And it's not automatic. They have to apply and be approved by the board of directors as a member.
What if they inherit it and they don't ever qualify to be a member for some reason?
Then they have
you
to sell
decide?
it. Then they have to sell it.
Then they have to sell. Okay, so would you, I am upset because you've mentioned many times, Juanita, that inheritance does not qualify, does not, if one inherits this unit, they don't have to live in it for the 1 year. But you've never added, it has to be in the rental pool already. And that is of great concern because nobody knows when we go to meet our Maker. And that means that our children, if they do want to come and live in the unit, can't get their papers and businesses and whatever it may be, and for those living out of state especially, can't get their pieces together to be able to move here quickly enough. And so in order for it not to be a costly thing, I have always looked at the rental situation, because you know I've never rented myself, looked at the rental situation as being a buffer for that period of time that it takes for our kids to pull their pieces together to make this move. After all, they own homes and things like that. And I'm finding that now a big surprise. Even though they may qualify by age, they may not really be able to just jump in and live in there. And so I would like to know why you can't eliminate that. And the rental pool. I mean, that's another whole big issue. Aside from being the member that they have to be, they just may not, and they may not be in that rental pool at that time. I'm not interested in renting my place. I'm very happy living here. That's why I spend so much time with all of you. But seriously, I think that is something to be considered seriously, because a lot of us fall into that. Look, my kids may never want to live here, but the possibility is there.
But we are an owner-occupied community. If your children are not interested in moving here, they should sell.
No. I just threw that in as an
Roberta,
aside.
may I
I'm talking about if my kids want to come here, but they're not ready to jump in for that first year until they pull their business together, sell a house or whatever. And
Roberta, this is done according to civil code by our legal counsel. We're a senior community. We're not here to accommodate inheritances such as you have in your own home that you owned. Please understand this.
I'm understanding everything.
I don't argue.
But by the same token, we're living here a long time, and there are too many lifestyle changes. Lifestyle changes, no, it has not, I'm sorry. We didn't always have rental. I think you should not vote on this now and should rethink this from a human aspect, not just from the problem-solving aspect. Thank you.
You came to the hearings and you knew the violations that were going on in this community because of the rentals that were instituted by certain people. You would realize why this is open to us to help us curtail what's going on.
I totally understand.
Excuse me. Our staff spends hours and hours chasing these people down. We sit here at hours and hours of hearings, executive hearings, with people who are violating. You have no idea because you're not able to know this because it's confidential information. But for heaven's sake, give this board credit for trying to preserve the co-op philosophy in this community.
And Roberta, if you will read it carefully, you will see it does not apply except to people who purchase their unit after August 9th, 2016. It does not, the year does not apply to successor trustees. It does not apply to people who are living here now and either leave their share or whatever. It only applies to those who buy after August 9th, 2016.
But when I speak, I'm not speaking for myself. I'm speaking for others too. I'm using that as an example.
If they're already living here, they're covered.
But they have to already be in the rental
All right,
pool.
let's move it along. We have other people.
Yeah, Maxine McIntosh, 68C. What Barbara said, her first statement just a few minutes ago, is really dynamic. The board is here to protect the residents, to take care of the residents. I have a son and a daughter. If I was wiped out tonight, neither one of them is old enough to inherit and move in to become a member. And they know that, and I know that. I knew it when I bought my unit. So they would inherit the money from selling my unit, and when they turn 55, they can come back and buy one if they want. Just wait till they're 55. They've got the money because they've sold mine. They can come back and buy a smaller one and be ahead. But I understood all that, so I'm not griping or complaining about any of it. I like it that first and foremost, The focus of this board is to take care of the membership here. Thank you.
Thank you, Maxine.
Good morning, Patsy Ladry, 482B. I am a lessee. So
Sublessee. We are all lessees.
that's what I'm saying. I am a lessee. I own a unit. I own a stock share.
Right.
So I am a lessee. So we're talking subleasing.
Right.
What is the difference between leasing, subleasing, and the rental pool? What does the rental pool mean? That's the only question I have.
Lessees are those of us who own the stock certificate.
Right, I got that.
And we're
I
on a
know
continuing
subleasing.
3-year lease. Sublessees are if we decide to rent to someone else. It is a sublet. It's kind of synonymous with rental, but it has to go through the process. One of the problems that we have are people who do not go through the sublet process and rent their unit under the table, outside
Just
the
asking you
rules and all of
definition
that.
of
So
rental pool.
Well,
That's all I need.
that means that it has been rented before. Or it's available for rental, which means that it's before August 9th, 2016, because everybody who now has a unit is in that rental pool.
That's what I wanted to know. Okay.
Yeah, the rental pool is the total, Patsy, of the 20% cap that we have.
Okay.
Once that is reached, and this is in previous resolutions,
Can't be in it.
then you have to get in line. So if we go and the kids want to come in and there's no more room,
Right.
they have to wait until there's a vacancy.
What's the cap rate? What's the
20%.
limit? Yeah, but what's the limit right now?
8%.
Well,
Eight?
that we know about.
Yeah.
Andre.
389Q, Andre Torn. I've heard something and suddenly realized there's some confusion here. In the first resolved further, okay, the 1-year prohibition against the subleasing rule does not apply to, there are 2 conditions here. Successor trustee who become member after death of the trustor. Second condition is provide the unit was already in the rental pool prior to the death of the trustor. 2 conditions. So the following sentence says, such individual can sublease their units immediately upon becoming a member. Okay. Now, the question I think we need to ask is, if I pass away, my wife and I passed away, my kids inherited it, and it's not in the rental pool, are my kids such individuals? My kids are not such individuals because they don't satisfy the 2 conditions.
Anybody living here at this time before August 9th, 2016 is automatically in the rental pool, because we have already said that anybody living here at this time has the ability to rent or sublet their unit. It's only those buying in the future, and they still need to apply for membership before they can sublease it.
Okay, so if we sell our unit, the future owners after the state can, and if they passed away, their kid, and they're still living there, their kids cannot rent it, they have to sell it right away.
That's where the 1 year comes in.
Okay. Okay, thank you for the clarification.
Okay, we had a first and a second, so we're going to go to the vote. Okay, all those in favor of this resolution, raise your hand.
What's the resolution?
The resolution for subletting for 1 year after purchase.
Okay, did you get that, Jeannie?
Oh, that's for Janie. Janie, what do you vote? Yes or no? Okay. Okay, all those in favor, yes?
Oh.
Yes? Okay. Okay, all those opposed? Okay. Do we know what Janie wanted?
Janie, what was your vote?
Okay,
Yeah.
so no vote.
This is not working.
Okay.
That's Montana.
She's up in the hinterlands, you guys, and
Isn't she in Montana? Yeah.
Okay, so let's go to the next one. No, I don't need to. 7 to 1. To none. That's right, none.
Okay.
Okay, which one are we on? Okay, so the next one is C. Entertain motion to approve the following. When children purchase a unit for their parents in United, the children must have the same qualifications as the guarantor. An annual income of at least $90,000 and $250,000 in financial assets, and the occupying parent must have an annual income of at least $24,000 and $75,000 in financial assets. Resolution 30-day notification requirement has been satisfied. Do you want to read the resolution for this?
All right, financial requirements when children purchase for parents. Whereas when children purchase a unit for their parents in United, i.e. a share, a membership, the right to occupy, there is concern that parents may not have the means to support the parents' ongoing expenses, such as monthly assessments, food, utilities, property insurance, or medical expenses. Whereas the Board of Directors believes that it's in the best interest of United and the community as a whole to require both the parents and the children to qualify under the current rules and regulations for guarantors of shareholders or members. Now therefore be it resolved on August 9th, 2016, when children purchase a unit for their parents in United, the children, the people purchasing it, must have an annual income of at least $90,000 and $250,000 in financial assets, and the occupying parents, who must have an annual income of at least $24,000 and $75,000 in financial assets. And resolved further that the management agent is hereby directed to disseminate this information to the realty community serving Laguna Woods Village, and resolved further that this policy shall be put into effect on or after August 9th, 2016, and resolved further that the officers and agents of the corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation to carry out the purposes of this resolution, which has satisfied and complies with civil code. I move this resolution.
Okay, it's been seconded by Jack. Any discussion? Okay. All those in favor of this resolution, raise your hand. Okay, all those opposed? Okay, it's unanimous. She didn't vote. She didn't vote.
Jeannie's on here now.
Well, we can't hear her, so.
Oh, but it's because I'm not here now.
Did she vote yes?
She voted yes. Just a minute. Let me turn it down so that it's.
It's so unanimous.
Okay, yes, yeah. Okay, thank you, Jane. Okay, so that's approved. And the last one is entertain a motion to approve revisions to the land use policy. This is the resolution that we considered last month, but we're deadlocked, so we're going to give it another try.
Lenny?
And so, Juanita, would you read the?
May I
Does that have to
call
be
a point
read
of
again?
order?
Yeah.
It was
Since
read.
we,
I'm sorry.
go ahead.
I was just saying, this resolution was read
Yeah, maybe.
last month. I don't think we have to read it again.
That's what I was going to say,
that's
Don, thank you.
Okay, that's a good point. Okay, so is there a motion to pass the resolution? Okay. Jack?
Not yet.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Don?
Jeannie.
I'll have to have a 2/3 vote.
Why? Oh, wait,
Jeannie has a
we're
question.
not ready for
Jeannie
discussion
doesn't
yet.
want to talk to you yet.
Hold on. So, okay, so we had a first and a second, so we can now go to discussion, I guess. Jack first, and I think Don was the second.
And Jeannie has a question. Can we
Okay,
get
so
her
let's
taken
go
care
ahead with the question.
of? Okay, Jeannie, go ahead.
Okay, Lenny, I have a question. Are you a licensed real estate agent working full-time or part-time now? And what is the legality of a conflict of interest if you're voting on this particular item?
On land use?
On land use?
So I'm part-time real estate. And I guess I could recuse myself from this vote, if that's a problem. So I'd be glad to recuse myself.
I did not hear the answer on this.
I would recuse myself from this vote.
Okay. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay, and then I have a question too.
Yep.
Juanita, was there any changes made to this?
No,
from
ma'am, there
last
was
month?
not.
No?
No.
Okay, I've been doing my homework, Glenn.
Yes, you have.
And I found, Robert's Rules has all these little goodies for us.
Okay.
And I happened to come across this one in my nighttime reading.
Okay, go ahead.
And it says, in order to reconsider a vote, it cannot be reconsidered if it is voted on and lost. The motion to reconsider cannot be renewed except by unanimous consent. By the same principle, no question can be reconsidered twice unless it was materially amended during its first reconsideration. So this is a moot issue, I believe, and according to Robert, we can't do this.
Unless we have a 2/3 vote or
Unless you have a unanimous vote.
unanimous vote.
The requirement for a unanimous vote addresses a motion that's made during a meeting that fails and that it's attempted to be put back on the table for the board during that same meeting. This is a separate meeting, very distinct. That references a motion that fails. This motion did not fail.
Yes, it did.
There was a deadlock, wasn't there a deadlock?
Failure.
And that makes it fail.
And that made it fail.
And it took place at a different meeting.
This is what this has to do with.
And then,
It says the next meeting.
at our agenda prep meeting, we voted for it to be brought back.
Right.
And we passed that vote to bring it back to.
The motion to reconsider cannot be renewed except by unanimous consent, and by the same principle, no question can be reconsidered twice unless it was materially amended by the first reconsideration. This is its first.
Yeah, all I can tell you is that this is not a motion for reconsideration. This
Yes,
is a
it
new
is.
motion for a separate meeting, and it does not require unanimous approval.
It hasn't been changed at all, so it is reconsideration.
It is.
All right, we're
So
gonna-
what are you saying, Jeff?
I'm saying that there's no requirement for unanimous approval for this motion.
So we could go forward with a vote on this?
Correct.
In your opinion?
Correct.
Okay, great. Thank you, John. Okay, John?
I'm bringing up a point of order. This is Chapter 10 of Robert's Rules. It says, if a motion is made and disposed of without being adopted, which happened at the last meeting, and is later made again, the motion is said to be renewed. Renewal of motion is limited by the basic principle that an assembly cannot be asked to decide the same or substantially the same question twice during one session, except through a motion to reconsider a vote. Now wait a minute. There's a difference between meeting and session. And if you go back into page 81, it talks about meeting and session, two different things. A meeting is one individual meeting, but a session is the kind of thing that this board engages in, where you go from meeting to meeting and you continue on with the same business. And it says here that this is what it says about a motion to reconsider. Reconsider, this is page 315. Reconsider, a motion of American origin enables a majority to bring back for further consideration a motion which has already been voted on. The purpose of reconsidering a vote is to permit correction of hasty, ill-advised, or erroneous action, or to take into account added information or a changed situation that has developed since the taking of the vote. To provide protection against abuse, the motion to reconsider has the following unique characteristics. Number one, it can only be made by a member who voted with the prevailing side. In other words, a reconsideration can be voted by one who voted aye if the motion was adopted, or no if the motion was lost. The motion was lost, so this, if you want to reconsider it now, that motion has to come from one of the people who voted no. Jack did not vote no, he was absent. I didn't vote no. You didn't vote.
Okay. Any other discussion? Go ahead.
Dick Rader, 270D. Besides procedural issues, we still have to come up with a land use policy because there are issues coming before the Maintenance and Construction Committee that have to be dealt with. So I'd like to address the land use policy resolution as it was written for today. The United Board's resolution will allow some individuals to build up to a room addition onto common areas. The common area, which is all the land outside of our manors and patios, is for the enjoyment and benefit of all United members, not for the financial gain of a select few. Until now, the board has not determined what the community thinks about its proposal. I'm going to present to you now a petition signed by 300 United shareholders that is against giving up any common area. In case you might think it was difficult to find these signees, let me tell you that over 90% of the individuals with whom I personally spoke signed this petition. Their concerns included the land is for all to enjoy, not to be given away to some individuals to enlarge their units and thus increase their resale value. We are a co-op, and thus no common land should be used for the exclusive use of a few. Many were concerned that the land is being given for free. Consistently, I heard that residents like the existing layout of our buildings as well as our common areas and want them to remain as is. Let's now consider the resolution guidelines as written for today. 1. The board will consider whether any building modification is consistent with the architectural aesthetics and integrity of the community. 2. The board will also consider if the proximity of sidewalks, landscaping, trees, or other constraints will interfere with the proposed addition. These guidelines are too vague. If the lack of more specific parameters or standards will only lead to confusion and make the decision process as arbitrary as ever. But there's an even greater problem. The proposed land use resolution does not clearly define the terms of an exception, which can allow the board to continue to grant individuals the right to build onto our common areas. The exception clause is subject to interpretation. Thus, the board is within its legal authority to add an analysis to the resolution that conforms to the community's desire to preserve common areas. Since today's land use resolution does not provide adequate directions for decision-making and does not take into account the will of our residents, which you are free to confirm, we, the petitioners, ask that you do not pass the resolution today. And I present you with the petition.
To the Secretary.
Any other comments?
I just want to throw out there that there's a procedural issue on the table, and even though our lawyer said that you can hear it again, he didn't say you have to hear it again. And much as I love lawyers, there's always that. You don't always have to listen to the advice of your lawyer. You can err on the side of caution. And if enough people are concerned about the issue, leave it for now, please. Thank you.
Maxine McIntosh, 68C. Since the law regarding this is stressing that here's an opportunity. This is the way I see the law. Here's an opportunity to turn over a burden of maintaining some land. Not to give a gift to homeowners, but to pass a burden on to the homeowners who would like to extend into that inaccessible area. So I don't read it the other way around, that this is a golden opportunity for maybe 5% of the community or less. But rather, it's really stating if you're having trouble maintaining that land, then give it to somebody who wants to encroach on that land. And if it's inaccessible, staff can make it accessible if that's a problem. Staff can make any area of our property accessible if you really want that. Another point I'd like to point out is, I don't know exactly what rule you're following, and it may be fine, but I know the 3 years I served on GRF, every time we had a tie vote, it died. That was like a no. You didn't bring it up and vote on it again. That was a message. A tie vote kills it, kills the issue. And another thing, if you took a vote during the agenda meeting, you can certainly ask for a show of hands of the people who want something on the agenda. But if you're taking a vote that you want to count legally as meeting a part of a law, then that's an illegal vote, because that's against your own protocol of not conducting business during an agenda meeting. You can't take a vote that you bring to the board meeting and have it count, as I understand it. It can't count. I might be wrong, but I know time and again when I was on the different boards, we were told, don't start conducting business. This is a board meeting. We cannot turn it into a non-noticed board meeting instantly like that. So that's very different from just voting what you're putting on the agenda. To take a vote and then bring it forward to the meeting and have it meet a legal requirement, if there is such a legal requirement, I really don't think you can do it.
Mark Gatlin, 693C. Is it legal for her to do this over the phone?
Yes.
How do you know that's her? That's one of my questions. The other one is some of the terminology used in this petition, what have you, in this discussion, is, as far as I understand, you can't give anything away that belongs to the association, the mutual, right? So when you're using this land use, you're not giving it away. You're just giving them a permit. You're allowing them to use it as a lessee. So if you have a lessee who's willing to financially go out on their own to improve the property, which you own the building, you own the land, I don't see what the problem is. Especially now, because now you're starting to limit. Before it's wide open. Now you're closing it in, giving it a real definitive definition of what is allowable. Because I went through the process when I first moved in. It took a year going through the architect design, approvals through the boards, took 3.5 months to do the work. You guys just don't do it willy-nilly. I'm real impressed with the process. And in order to do this process, you really gotta wanna to follow all your rules and regulations. That's it.
Just in reference, as an aside for what this man just said, years back, we were not allowed to build permanent structures if on common ground. So it wasn't exactly giving it away. In other words, it couldn't be mortar and sheetrock and all that kind of stuff. It had to be done in glass, which was considered like a patio enclosure, which was always considered a temporary thing. Now, maybe that's something some of you newer board members aren't aware of, or maybe that was changed, but if that was changed, I certainly think we all should know about that. Thank you.
389Q, Andre Torn. From what I've heard in the past, the justification was that we give people, handicapped people access, give some land, allow them to change structure so they can access their unit, which I have no problem with that. And honestly, that is, but I don't think that's giving the land to the person, give that manner. The property is just a repurpose of common use land, so they still belong to the community. They don't belong to the person. But what we are proposing here is to give that common land to the person They can enclose it, they can make it their own unit. I've heard in the past that people say, build up the patio, enclose it, and then say, oh, I don't have a patio anymore. Can I have extra space for the patio? No, you have already used up your patio space, and you cannot request another patio. And in the future, if somebody make that kind of a request, I would highly suggest that MNC committee to reject it and then say, you've already used up whatever space you have. You cannot have additional enclosed space for your personal use. If it's for public use, if it's still in the open area, just repurpose it, then that is fine. We can accommodate the community. And that's my suggestion.
Okay, if there's no other comments, then, okay.
Yeah, I would like to say something about it. See, land use, and we do have different floor plans, and the 2-story buildings and the 1-story buildings. But some units, they cannot get any inch out of that, take any advantage of that. So land use policy only for the floor plan, they can take advantage of, they have ground floors. So I don't think it's fair enough to give corporate common area to those units can have ground floors. So that's what I think is not fair enough to all the members. So why don't you, address that first, then see how you can use common areas. We do have those floor plans with a balcony and patios. That's called exclusive use of common area. It's when you buy the unit, you know that. So that's what I'm saying. This policy shouldn't be passed. Thank you.
I think everybody knows where I stand on this. It, as Ming said, is not an equitable offering to the community. I also have made a lot of speeches. I'm not going to do it today. But under Civil Code 4610, and of course Civil Code only talks about condos. It never talks about co-ops, unfortunately. But restrictions on partition of common area, and it just says, that the common area in a condominium, which means co-op also, shall remain undivided and no judicial partition, unless there are extenuating circumstances where the project has maybe failed and has to be sold off and all of that sort of thing. So the easiest thing to do to solve this is don't do it. We don't pass it. People can put chairs outside their units. They can have lawn parties. They can use the property, but it's not going to be assigned to them.
The law is permissive. It is not mandatory. The board may do this. What the community is indicating, they don't want you to do it. Your resolution is fine, but the people don't want you to give away the land use that you can give. That's all. There's nothing wrong with your resolution. It makes it all smaller and harder to do. That's fine. It's still a permissive law. And you're getting from the community that they don't want permission given, but the resolution is actually fine. Whether it should be heard today is a different question. Thank you. Thank you.
Roberta already spoke.
You're not hearing the community. And if you want to hear the community, I think that this needs to go to an open town hall.
Did you speak about this issue?
Oh, I'm going to shoot her.
Can't speak a second time about the same
None of
issue.
these units were built fairly, Mr. Chang.
Roberta, that's enough. Okay, so we're going to...
Procedure issue.
What did you say about Durrell?
She did want to discuss it.
Janie? Just let me...
Lenny, if I may?
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, Jan is trying to get Janie.
Yeah.
There's a question raised as to whether a board member can participate in a board meeting by telephone, and the law is very clear that they can. as long as each board member can hear, number one, which so far,
You can't hear.
I don't know if I can hear her or not. It's been spotty. And number two, you recognize her voice. And if that's the case, then she can participate in the meeting.
Jeannie?
I can't hear.
Well, she has
She
been.
said she can't hear.
Has been difficult to hear her. She's having a hard time hearing us, I think. So,
She is up in the hinterlands in an area that is very, very hard to get consistent.
What's
Yeah.
doing up here?
And it,
It's her voice.
so John, did you?
Yeah, I have a comment. If I
Yeah, go ahead.
can work again. Yeah, we seem to have about 6 attorneys in this room giving different opinions, and I rely on the one that we hired. And this land use policy, the one that we have now was written in 2008. It is not working. As M&C chairman, I get stuck in the middle as long as the members of the committee do. We have people putting in requests to use some of the land. I'm sorry, John, but we have a lot of requests. Right now, we have 15 people on the waiting list because the residents are following this old 2008 policy. And what we have done, since I've been on this board the second time for the last couple of years, we've been trying to change this. Finally, a couple of months ago, we all agreed as a board to hire our attorney and call a meeting and work out a new resolution to replace the one that doesn't work. That we have done. And that is the one that we should vote on. It limits the amount, the old policy has no limit on how much land can be used. It's not giving it away, it's just being used. The new policy that we're talking about here limits the amount to 100 square feet, 10 by 10. True, some people can't take advantage of it, and especially the ones in second floor, but overall, the people who have put in the requests, they have been looked at, they have been approved by the by staff, and they recommended it based on the old policy. We need a new policy. The other one doesn't work. Simple as that. So I recommend we approve this and get it over with.
Jeff, Jeff, go ahead.
if I may, Lenny and the board, just to further clarify Don's comments, the existing policy, which, correct me if I'm wrong, Kim, currently exists. The 2008 policy is still intact. And what the board is proposing to do is to modify that policy, and through the modifications, it seeks to provide further restrictions and regulation on the board as to how much of the common area can be given to the shareholders for use. Not giving away, but for use. So the draft policy that's before the board now has significantly more regulations and safeguards on the board. What I'm observing is that since this has become a topic and the shareholders have learned more and more about it, there's been more and more of an interest to not continue to do this. That's what I'm observing. And it seems that even though you've had this long-standing policy of providing shareholders the right to use certain common areas adjacent to their manors, and even though you're seeking to further regulate yourself and future boards and to restrict your authority in allowing shareholders to use property adjacent to their manors, it sounds like more and more shareholders are becoming more and more concerned that they don't even like this practice, period. And if that's the case, and I haven't seen that petition, I don't know what it says and what the position is stated on it and how many shareholders are represented as far as manors versus just residents are on that petition. But the board may want to look at the interest in the community and whether, and Lenny, you mentioned this in prior meetings, whether this should go down the same track is we took on the rental restrictions where we had a town hall meeting. I'm just throwing it out there. There's certainly an interest that's becoming more and more prevalent that I don't know if the board was fully aware of or not. I'm just an outsider. I'm just making this observation as an outsider, and it's definitely something that the board, in exercising its fiduciary duties to make a decision, should and can consider.
To add on to what Jeff said, if we do not pass this resolution, which took a lot of time and effort and thought to further restrict this policy, we go back to the old one where there are no restrictions, where it's vague and it's at the will of whoever is on the board at that time. If we pass this resolution, we are putting in restrictions that will basically negate the old policy, clarify. I agree, it's not clarified completely. There are still portions in this that I think need to be further clarified. But this is a good step in the direction of giving our M&C committee the clout, if you will, to say no. Because if we don't pass this and it goes back to the old one from 2008, we're back to the same thing of it's completely gray, completely, you can do it if your board says you can.
I can ask a question.
I'm glad that Juanita spoke before me because she brought up my concern, and that is how M&C deals with this particular resolution. My concern is with one of the latter parts of the resolution where it forgives anybody who has taken land without permission in the past and makes it okay. I don't think that we have done any research on how many properties that involves. I don't think we have done any research on what the condition of those properties is now or was when it was changed. And I think that is major critical because we are charging the people of United with maintenance of those buildings down the road. And we don't know if they have been built to code. We don't know if they have been built soundly. And we don't even know how many there are. And to me, this is something you cannot do and move forward when we have no idea what it is we're accepting from our community in terms of buildings and building changes. If we go through and we find them and we have them approved by a permit department, that's another matter. But there's no mention of any kind of discovery on these properties whatsoever. So, pardon?
There is for the future ones.
I know, but you're grandfathering in all these homes and properties that we have no idea what has been done to them. And this just doesn't make any sense to me that you would do that. That, I think it's number 8 needs to be stricken from the 7, is it? Number 7. It needs to be stricken from this resolution regardless.
Would you like to amend the motion to strike number 7?
I'm not ready to accept this motion yet. I think it needs a lot more work.
Yeah, I'm not aware of any encroachment on our land that hasn't been approved. If something has been done, I'm sure we would have known about it, and staff would be aware of it.
We get that in disciplinary all the time,
there are
unauthorized alterations.
As I was saying, there have been directors who are not for this, and as I said earlier, puts a burden on the M&C committee. So I have asked those directors to come up with a resolution to restrict all of it, and they never have. So we're still stuck with the old resolution of 2008. All I'm asking for is to approve this, and then if you want to amend it later, we can amend it later. Just don't keep the old one that is obsolete. Oh, and as our attorney said, it sounds like more people are against giving away any land. all you really hear as a board director, you hear the negative side, the naysayers. You don't hear the positive people. Yeah.
I really feel terrible. If I had, last month, when this was voted on before, if I hadn't had to leave early, I would have voted for it. And we'd not be talking about it today. And to me, the fact that we're talking about such a small addition of land in a specific condition of being used for betterment and value of the community, I don't know why we would vote against it.
Yeah, I think what I had said before, one of my comments was, it is the encroachment. You build a 10 by 10, you build a 10 by, and it depends on where it is. There are some hideous additions I have seen. I can take you to one in particular near me that was done years ago by previous boards. I would like an answer from our council. This property belongs to the cooperative, is that correct? It is a cooperative property. Therefore, it is this board's fiduciary responsibility to take care of that property and enhance the corporation, take care of the corporation?
I'm not sure I follow the
Well,
question.
isn't it our job to maintain and preserve the corporation in its best interest?
Correct.
Therefore, if we, and I go by the civil code where it should remain undivided, if we go along with, here's a little bit here, a little bit there, we're not doing our job to enhance the cooperative and preserve it in the way that it was designed to do. The bit by bit, as we had the disaster with the rentals. This has been the biggest thing that's changed the whole co-op that we live in. Now we've got this issue coming up. And I just believe so strongly in United and what it is supposed to be. Why can't we live with it? You signed the occupancy agreement. You decided you'd live under the rules, and now you want to change it. So I just believe that our corporate decision should be to preserve the corporate property, and that we should do away with the old resolution that Don is referring to and do away with this one. And we don't do it. No, we just don't give away land, period.
You need a new resolution to supersede the one that's already on the books that says, yes, we can. We don't have such a resolution.
Yeah, I would like to say it again. Jack just mentioned about it, just a small piece of land to give to certain little piece of, little number of members. That's why we cannot do that. As a board member cannot do favor to only little, number of people, can expand it the manner to the common area. That's what exactly what we should do. So the way I think, it's not unfair, and I think the most thing we have to concern about it. Another thing, and our attorney said already, we heard about that. We got 300 people put a petition in, and they signed a paper saying they don't want this kind of use common area. So it lets us, think about it, and you get more information from the village, and then decide it. And I think that's the way. If you pass this, I think will make board looks bad. Thank you.
Yeah, one final comment. One other issue I have with this resolution is that it doesn't protect the people who are neighbors to the houses that are being altered. There's no protection for the other members, and so often we see this, for instance, in second floor flooring, and putting in hardwood flooring And then the people who are under them having to deal with the extended noise, the extensive noise that comes from there. It's unintended consequences. And I'm looking, as I came in, gate 3, turned right, a recent addition put on a Seville. And that addition, even though it was within the footprint, completely blocks the view of the neighboring unit. These kind of things are happening, and there doesn't seem to be any recourse for the person who did nothing but move in and be a good member. And so I think that anytime we make a change like this, we have to make sure that we're protecting the members who are just trying to get by, who want to live and who want to enjoy their retirement. And so many places in this one, it doesn't look at that. It doesn't look at views, for instance. We need to, it says it cannot reasonably obstruct the view. Well, what is reasonably obstruct? To me, if it lowers the value of your house because you can't look at this beautiful scene, and so your value has been disturbed, I think that's a problem. And we have no way of saying that in here. We need to protect the members who are not doing anything to their property. I mean, these people are just kind of ignored. So I think that needs to be done. And personally, if we're going to do this in any way, shape, or form, we need to go to the membership and get that 6/7 vote.
As I was saying, all you hear from are the naysayers mostly. And as far as blocking a view, I have to disagree with that. If that's an alteration, all alterations go through the M&C committee after they go through staff, and the person's view, the neighbor's view, is one item that is looked at. There are many things we look at. The neighbors have to sign an authorization that they don't mind for that alteration to go in. There's a lot of things that protect the neighbors on that. Anyway, we're going over the same things we've been going over for 2 years. The bottom line is we have a policy that does not work. It has to be updated.
Parliament Hand 65H, regarding the petition, please look at your viewers at home. Please look at the audience here. There are now 300 persons that would like to review the problem. Thank you.
I was thinking about this, and I was thinking about what Jeff had said, that whichever way that the vote is taken today, I think we should have a hearing on this. And I think that the same way we did with subleasing, I think we should set up a town hall meeting, and so we'll go ahead and do that, whichever way. And even if it does pass, it's out for 30 days notification, and we'll have a town hall meeting within the next 30 days to let the members consider it, talk about it, get the feedback, and but at this point, we're going to go ahead with the vote on this particular resolution.
You have to wait 30 days.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we do?
Yeah.
Is that right?
No, we presented this last, she's right,
Provisions in land resolution initial.
because it failed last night.
This is initial notification.
Yeah.
So can
Point
we,
of
I
order.
call the question, Mr. President. We'll be here all
so
day.
can we vote on this now? Or?
Yes.
2/3 vote.
Okay, so we're going to vote on this resolution today, right now. All those in,
Let's do a roll call vote so we don't have any.
First of all, we have to vote on the call for the question.
call for the question is to.
It's a proprietary motion, 2/3 vote to stop debate and go to the other motion.
And I withdraw my motion.
Okay, so all those in favor of bringing this, what do you say, call to the motion? Or vote, all those in favor of voting for the motion, raise your hand.
Voting for the land use.
Yeah, voting. Okay, so I'm a little unclear. What do I need to do?
So Director Tibbetts withdrew his motion to call for the question, so now it it seems what you're going to do is you're going to vote to postpone this resolution for 30 days to comply with civil code.
Okay.
Aren't we going to vote on the policy? Isn't that what we're doing? And then it gets postponed to conform to the 30-day? Yes. We need to vote on the policy. That's what the matter is.
Motion is to approve
before
the
us.
revisions to the land use policy.
That's what's on the table.
So was there a first and a second for that, right? Jack and Don. Okay. So we can go ahead and vote for that policy.
And then it will be postponed, 30 days.
It has to be ratified at our September meeting. Another vote.
Okay, so the motion is to approve the resolution, right? This resolution as amended. Or,
Wasn't
it
amended.
wasn't amended.
No.
Lenny,
You wanna
we
help me
can't, yeah, this motion can't move forward because Jack was not even here. He could not bring that forward. Only a person that voted no can bring it forward. So the whole thing needs to be tabled or dropped or whatever.
Be tabled.
According to our attorney, we can vote on this, and Jack, whether he was here or not last time, he can make the motion, which he did, and I seconded. And all we want is a simple vote.
Okay, maybe we'll get our legal counsel to weigh in on this.
Don is
Can we
Don is
vote on
correct.
this or not?
Don is correct.
Okay, so we can go ahead and vote on this?
Yes.
Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and vote on this. All those in favor of this resolution, raise your hand. Okay, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. All those opposed, raise your hand.
Janie, you need to speak. And Janie's here, opposed.
How can Janie vote? You can't even hear her.
They heard her.
Who were the 4 opposed, please?
Was she able to hear you in this discussion?
Was she able to hear me?
You stop talking from the audience, please. Who were the 4 opposed?
Tom, Jan.
For or against?
I wasn't for.
Opposed.
Against, yeah.
Jang, Meng, and me, right?
Okay, all those,
May I interrupt, please?
Go ahead.
Number one, I'm trying to follow. It's very hard when people from the audience are yelling. So
Right.
I would ask the chair if you can ask the audience to please stop
If you could-
interjecting.
quiet.
Number two, we need to determine if we can hear Janie. I did not hear anything.
I
So we need to slow this down a little bit and take our time
Yeah.
and see if she even voted and cast a vote and can even hear us.
Janie, are you there? You are here, okay. You've got to speak up because you're not coming through real strong, okay? Are you for or against the vote to permit land use? Boy, you can hardly hear. Can you?
I heard her. I heard her.
Just a second, Janie, I'm going to try to get you on speakerphone.
You know Pat's Ford. You can call her.
Did you hear her?
I heard
But I
her.
don't know if
You
anyone
heard her.
is.
I could hear her.
As I see it, Mr. Chairman, the vote is 4-4. It is a tie. You need to vote.
And I said I would recuse myself.
He
He
can't.
can. Yeah.
He's recused.
So I'm not going to vote.
I can't make it come. She's there. Oh, thank you. Okay, Janie, you want to say your vote again?
I'm opposed.
I'm opposed.
There.
Thank you. I'm not a very good iPhone
I'm not even clear
person.
who's,
All right, so the measure is defeated. It's lost, 4-4. The tie.
4-4, it's defeated. Again.
Same as last one. Okay.
and Mr.
Yeah.
I would like to make a substitute motion.
Okay.
I would like to make a motion that we rescind and suspend Resolution 1873 and not allow any use of common area.
I'll second that vote.
And there's a second, okay.
Ming seconded.
Okay, do we have some discussion about this?
I don't know if it's appropriate, council, but this was not on the agenda. Can we bring this up and discuss it and vote on it?
No.
No.
Good try, Juanita. We'll go for it next month.
We've got to get rid of the old one.
Yes, we can pursue this. I don't know how we get it on, I guess at our next agenda prep meeting, we would put this on our agenda and for further action.
Okay,
Okay.
all right. Okay, let's move on, because we're almost finished here. Number 20. Entertain motion to approve revisions to the record date for voting resolution. Do you want to read that, Juanita? 20A.
Yes. Get back to the other one here. Okay, this is an endorsement from the Document Review Committee to the board on the record date policy. And basically, the changes, I won't go through the whole policy, which is 10 pages. The changes to this are ones that, here's my red line. Just to let you know, the board is required to observe a record date upon which the persons who are members of United as said record date and whose membership voting privileges are not suspended as of the said record date are entitled to receive a ballot. But those who are in arrears by 30 days will not receive a ballot. And we have to go through a process where they are brought before, they are sent a notice, they are allowed a hearing. If they come to the hearing or correct it, then they are given a ballot. If they choose not to come to the hearing, not to correct it, then they don't get the ballot. Now, we have one section on page 2 where our council strongly recommends that we amend our bylaws to resolve the conflict with the civil code, because right now it is in conflict with the civil code, but we are not here today to amend our bylaws, so that stays in. What we have done is we have, on page 3, under record date for secret ballots, we have just clarified, instead of just saying members, we're saying members of record and eligible members of record in the second paragraph, because it's not just all members. Because you're a member, you get it. It's eligible members and members of record. And I think that's the same way on the record date for the written ballots. All persons who are members is changed to all eligible members of record. We're trying to make it clear that they have to be members of record. And in the summary chart, we changed the word owners to shareholders, which we've been trying to do throughout most of our documents. So they're not substantial changes. I consider them administrative changes, and I move that we accept these changes for the record date for voting resolution.
I second.
Okay, any discussion? Yep, Maxine.
Maxine McIntosh, 68C. Just a quick suggestion for a correction that I hope you'll embrace. If you look at page 8 of 10, where you have numbered items on the page, okay, 8 of 10 under 20A, and if you look at number 1B, where it says, pursuant to United bylaws, members entitled to vote shall be entitled to cast 1 vote per membership. I think technically you might want to say, fill out 1 ballot, because there's more than 1 vote on a ballot. Just a technicality.
Well, it's 1 vote per manor. It's not per membership. And maybe we need to change that membership to manor, but each manor gets 1 vote, no matter how many people are in it.
So you call the whole ballot 1 vote?
No. 1 vote on a ballot only one per manor.
Okay.
No matter how many people live there. So we consider the membership, the manor to be combined.
Yeah.
But just to clarify, you're right.
Yeah, I'm not questioning whether it's manor or membership. I'm just questioning the limitation of one vote. Just if that's always accepted, if it's in the language that
It's in our
one vote
bylaws.
means as many votes that you require on a ballot, you're okay.
Right.
Otherwise, I just suggest that you change it to return or complete instead of to cast one vote, complete one ballot.
All those in favor of this resolution, raise your hand. Okay. Okay. All those opposed? No, it's unanimous. Janie, we can't hear her, so.
Janie, on the, what is this, election vote, yes or no? Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, I didn't put it. Say yes again, please.
Okay. All right, then C, entertain motion to approve revisions to the United Laguna Woods Mutual Financial.
No, wait a minute, we have to do B first.
Oh, B,
Right.
entertain motion to approve revisions to the United membership elections, standard operating procedures.
Okay, that is.
Can you read it?
United Membership Election Standard Operating Procedure, whereas United Laguna Woods Mutual Board of Directors desires to update its election procedures to comport with current civil code. Now therefore be it resolved on September 13th, 2016, the Board of Directors of this corporation hereby adopts the revised United Membership Election Standard Operating Procedure as attached to the official minutes of the meeting, and resolved further that the Resolution 11533 adopted March 10th, 2015 is hereby superseded and canceled, and resolved further that the officers and agents of the corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation to carry out the purposes of this resolution. I move this resolution.
Okay.
Well, second.
Second, okay. Any discussion?
Yes, Maggie Blackwell, 71D. Yes, I see that the purpose is to comport it with the civil code. That's true, and that is what you have done. Sections D and E, though, since we are currently having an election, on page 18 of 30 of 20B, D and E can be very easily and quickly resolved to make them correct, up to date, and understandable. Let's look at E on page 18 of 30. That is, this is the candidate statement here in my hand. Okay, you all recognize this. This is limited to 250 words, okay? Previously, it has always been submitted electronically to the Inspector of Election. This also says, and corporate secretary. So if we want to do it to the corporate secretary, that's fine, but it does not say that on this sheet. Okay, so I would suggest if you wish to leave that and corporate secretary in there, you can, and anyone who is following these instructions may not do it. I would suggest that you therefore do not enforce this against anyone. Okay, except for what the form itself says. You can leave the wording as you want. For section D, this is much more complex. This does not know what to call itself, when what it really wants is each candidate shall submit to the secretary or authorized agent the candidacy application. And this eliminates the need for 1, 2, 3, and 4. It eliminates the 250 words, which has never been part of this. And on this, I would add on the back, a page of additional information may be attached. We always have done that. It's in here, but it's very unclear that this is the column, this is the paper to attach it to. So I would say leave this sentence for the attachment, just scratch out all of D except for the first sentence. Each candidate shall submit the candidacy application to the Secretary or authorized agent. Authorized agent, you can go down to not less than 60 days prior to the annual meeting. That's all you need there. That's all you need. You can adjust this yearly if you want without having to mess with this policy, sorry. Okay, but you can leave it for another time, but in the meantime, I would say don't hold any errors on these two against anyone who is going to apply.
Okay, Maggie, please notice that this is on 30-day. It would not even take effect until September 13th, 2016. It does not apply to this year's candidates. It applies to candidates in the future.
And then we would take it up at the document committee meeting.
And we would look at changing the document that you're talking about, the candidate notification, to comply with this.
Okay, all those in favor of this revision to United membership elections, raise your hand.
Jamie, are you in favor of this?
Okay, anyone opposed? Okay, it says Janie didn't vote. Okay, so,
Jamie, did you want to vote on this one?
okay.
She's there.
All right, abstain, let's say. All right, then the next one, entertain motion to approve revisions to United Laguna Woods Mutual financial requirements and administrative guidelines resolution. That's 20C. Can you read that, Juanita?
Administrative guidelines for financial qualifications. Whereas prospective buyers of manors in United Laguna Woods Mutual are required to meet minimum financial requirements for membership, now therefore be it resolved August 9th, 2016, that the Board of Directors of this corporation approves the administrative guidelines for financial qualifications as attached to the minutes of this meeting, and further resolved that Resolution 01-1590, adopted July 14th, 2015, is hereby superseded and canceled, and that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation to carry out this resolution. I move this resolution.
All those in favor of this motion?
Voice vote. Jamie?
It's not abstaining, it's just no vote.
Yes or no on the vote on
The administrative guidelines.
this? Say that again, please.
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Discuss it, last one is discuss and consider United Board participating, discuss and consider United Board participating in the Residency Policies and Compliance Ad Hoc Committee and the Contract Procedure Task Force.
Mr. Chairman?
Okay, yeah, Juanita, go ahead.
I would like to speak in favor of this motion, and I would like to make a motion that we do approve participation in these two task forces. I think it's really important that we be working together with the rest of the community, and these are two important things that affect both of us. We have been working on the subleasing problem for almost 2 years. Quite frankly, Third is just getting started on it. But they can learn from what we've done. There are things that are particular to condos, and there are things that are particular to co-ops, but there are many issues that are for both of us that we all have to work with, and that's what this committee is looking at. And the same way with the Contracts and Procedures Task Force, they're looking at things that affect both of us, not an individual mutual. So I move that we participate in both of these subcommittees.
Okay, okay, Barbara?
And it isn't only leasing and so forth, it's all the violations that are going on in both, both communities. So it's an all-encompassing, we have a whole list of subjects that they want to address. So it's Lori is helping with it, and I think it's going to be quite an all-encompassing, helpful study group.
Okay, so any other discussion? All right, then we're going to, all those in favor of participating in these two committees from United, raise your hand. Okay, it's unanimous. Is
Janie?
Janie in favor?
In favor of participating in the ad hoc committee for rental review?
Compliance.
You're on.
Contracts and procedures too.
I needed yes or no?
Okay,
Whoops,
yes.
I didn't.
She voted yes.
Say it again, please. I forgot to turn the mic on.
She voted yes, I heard.
Yeah. But that didn't.
Okay, so
You
it's
heard.
unanimous.
Okay.
So we're going to have to decide who to put on those committees, but if we had. Oh, we did already? Okay, okay, all right. But we'll have to decide that. All right. GRF committee highlights, anything? Anyone like to report about GRF committee highlights? How about you, Jen?
Why not? GRF, you probably know most of these things, but GRF added an archery section to the amount, or to the number of amenities we have, and media and communication, they're doing great. The Thrive Channel is now on TV, and you can check your local listings for when that occurs. And also the newsletter, if you haven't already got a subscription to that, make sure that you go into lagunawoodsvillage.com, and in there's a little box that you can check to get a subscription, and you can enjoy the newsletter with all of us. There's some very interesting information, especially this month, because a lot of the VMS staff has put things in it. And so it tells you things like, you know, when is the pickup for large items and stuff like that. Not this month, but it's got information that you can really use, and also keeps you up to date on what's happening in the different mutuals.
The name of the paper.
The name of the paper is The Breeze.
Okay, thank you, Jan. All right, any directors, any other GRF committee highlights? That's it. Okay, Nate?
Yeah, I setting for Pat English, a CAC meeting, and the Clubhouse 2 at September 9th, the open house between 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. Is that correct? Yeah. And hope everybody can go there and take a look. A brand new Clubhouse 2. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anything else? Okay. Yeah, Juanita?
I think we should mention that 2 to 4 is come and go. It's not something that you come at 2 o'clock and stay until 4 o'clock. We want this to be an open house where people come and go, because we couldn't get all of our members in there at the same time.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Directors Forum. Any comments? Me? Don?
Janie, do you have a comment for Directors Forum?
On what?
On Directors Forum, is there anything you wanted to talk to our membership about?
I just wanted to say it's awfully beautiful up here in Big Sky, Montana, and thank you. Thank you all.
Have a good
She
time.
said it's really beautiful up here in the cabin, and thank you. I think that's what she said. Not sure. No, I'm going to be quiet this time.
Barbara? Juanita? Okay, no, we're, Jack, did you want to say something? I'm sorry. Okay, I'm done too. So we're now in recess until 1:15. Thank you very much for attending.
Okay, Janie, I'm